in Cheshunt. Paul Scoynes has more.
Right, get out the car now.
That's the sound of the car's side window being smashed. The driver says she'd already spoken to officers outside of the vehicle and admitted she thought she was insured to drive under her policy, but wasn't. A passenger recorded the incidents and said that the officers used batons to break the windows after one of the other women refused to get out to talk to them. Herts Police say they've received a complaint, which is being dealt with by their Professional Standards Department.
Thousands of free car parking vouchers are being offered in Hemel Hempstead Old Town, while roadworks to implement a one-way system there continue. Shopkeepers have welcomed the move by Dacorum Borough Council, but still say the delayed works could put them out of business if the disruption lasts much longer. A decision will be made by Friday about how the contractors continue with the project. Andrew Williams is the leader of Dacorum Borough Council.
Well, the idea is to issue vouchers to residents of the area to enable them to park in the High Street car park for 2 or 3 hours between now and the end of March 2014 for free, to encourage them to both come to the High Street to see what's on offer and to take a stroll through.
A 44-year-old man is due to appear in court this morning after being arrested at Buckingham Palace. David Belmar has been charged with trespass and possession of a knife after police caught him trying to get through one of the palace gates. A lawyer representing 70 people who say they were abused by Jimmy Savile says she is not sure how useful any widening of the investigation will be. At present, the inquiry is focused on 3 hospitals, including Stoke Mandeville Hospital in Aylesbury. Liz Dux told BBC Three Counties Radio that she doesn't think there's much more detail to emerge.
I'm not quite sure about that. I mean, the concern is that many of these institutions were known about when the police did their very comprehensive U-Tree report.
And the weather for Beds, Hearts and Bucks. It'll start off cloudy with a chance of some scattered showers. It will become drier and brighter later with some sunny intervals. Maximum temperatures of 14 degrees Celsius. That's 57 degrees Fahrenheit. And get the latest news and sport online at bbc.co.uk/3 counties.
Thank you, Barry. All things considered, cracking job. Apologies for trying to cause you to stumble at the start. I am a fat-fingered idiot. Morning, this is Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. Hands up who didn't have much sleep, because for 45 minutes their 3-year-old son was in bed talking about cats and wee-wee. Anybody? Yeah! Fun times, fun times. Fun, tiring times. Sleepy time now. Yeah, Daddy, the cat just kissed my arm. Okay. Cats don't kiss arms. She kissed it with her nose. Okay. Lots coming up on the show this morning, including the Independent Police Complaints Commission is investigating claims officers who pulled over 3 women in Hertfordshire were overly heavy-handed. A lifeline for traders in Hemel as the Council offers thousands of car parking vouchers to shoppers. But will it be enough to save the Old Town's High Street? And Luton featured on Crime Watch last night. The victim of the shooting in Bury Park spoke to us upon his release from hospital. If you want to get in touch, facebook.com/BBC3CR. You can send me a text 81333, start your text 3CR, or you can give me a call 08459 455 555.
Across Beds, Hearts and Bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Lots of you have been calling in this week. I do like your... Oh, by the way, I have a jar of Vapor Rub, which I'm going to put on my feet at some point this morning. I know, doesn't it sound like a lot of fun? Will it be in the podcast? Probably not. But you never know. 08459 455 555. Now, 3 women have made a formal complaint after having their car stopped and the window smashed by Hertfordshire police. The incident happened as they travelled along the A10 in Cheshunt in the early hours of last Thursday morning. There was also a small baby in the car. Well, the women have contacted BBC Three Counties Radio exclusively, and our reporter Paul Scoynes can tell us more. Paul, what happened?
Well, Iain, we've spoken with one of the passengers. As you say, there were 3 women and a 4-month-old baby, all of whom are related. We understand the front 2 passengers were 2 sisters and their niece, and the baby was the daughter of one of the older women. This is what they've told us. They were driving along the A10 in the very early hours of Thursday morning. They'd left their hotel in the Cheshunt area after a sales conference. They wanted to get home to the northwest, which is where they're from. And after they'd just left the hotel and were driving towards the M25, they were then pulled over by the police.
Do we know why they were pulled over?
Well, the women say there wasn't a clear reason given. First of all, they were asked if they were lost, and then they were asked a few more details about the car.
What happened next?
Well, it's worth noting, Ian, at this point, that the woman who was driving thought she was insured on her sister's vehicle.
Right.
She wasn't. She says she has fully comprehensive insurance and thought she was insured.
But the police wouldn't know that just from seeing her drive past, would they?
That's right, no.
Okay.
We're told at this point that she actually went to the police car and discussed this with the officers. Now, her sister, who was the insured driver, then went to the driver's seat with her baby on her lap. Her sister returned, and the police wanted to question the owner. Now, at this point, the women say that the officers became more aggressive. She could not understand why they wanted to talk to her, she says, and she says she felt intimidated. Now, the younger woman in the back recorded the incident. I should stress this isn't a BBC recording. It was made on a mobile phone. The woman you can hear speaking is the owner of the vehicle, sitting at the steering wheel with the baby on her lap.
Anything. I wanted explanation as to why I've been stopped. It's because I'm driving a car and I'm black. You've told me that cars get stolen. If I'd been white, you'd never have stopped me. And that's a fact, whether you want to accept it or not.
How do we know you're black?
You saw me. I actually saw you getting to that roundabout.
How could we see you?
I saw you getting to that roundabout. And you did see me. And you followed because you saw us. So what is it then that you followed for?
Open the door right now.
No, I am not going to. I'm feeling threatened by you.
I hope you do.
I want another police officer, not you. Not you two.
You got this one right.
No ways. Then go away. I don't want to talk to you two.
Now, if I've got that right, she says, I'm feeling threatened, and he says twice, I think, I hope you do, I hope you do.
Yes, that's right.
That's quite incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, we can hear that one again.
Open the door right now.
No, I am not going to. I'm feeling threatened by you.
I hope you do.
Okay. What next?
Well, there was another officer who then came over and seemed to try and calm the situation down. The women said at this point that the other officers had withdrawn their batons.
I want to talk to somebody else who's reasonable. Go away. I don't want to talk to these two.
Talk to me.
Can they go away, please?
No, they're not going anywhere.
No, they must stand far away. I do not wish to look at this. What is she bringing that baton out for?
Because you're refusing to open the door.
Listen, I would like to speak to somebody else. These two have been very. I'm not happy with these two, and I'm a lawful citizen. I've not broken any laws. I am driving here.
Well, the officer then tries to calm the lady down again, and she's clearly quite distressed.
Well, all right, you calm down for a minute, all right, and let's get to the bottom of this, okay?
Yes, fair enough.
It's not going to solve anything.
Yes, and I'm really getting upset because they're threatening me by taking out batons, and she's giving me public order warnings for me telling her exactly why I think she has stopped me. Yeah, I should be, and he's been telling me to shut up. I have a right as well to speak.
Yeah, you're going to listen to me.
I'm going to listen.
Because you're not giving me a chance to get a word.
What is it that you want?
Right.
To be quite honest with you, I'm very frustrated and I'm scared, and that's the problem that I've got right now.
Right.
And when I'm scared, that is why I'm talking the way that I am, because I'm scared. When people start taking out batons like this, do you think I'm going to get out of the car?
Now, the officers clearly want the woman to get out of the car. Something I learnt while we were looking into this story is if a police officer asks you to get out of your car and you feel threatened, you don't have to. I think that's correct. I've been told that's correct. Well, and we're going to clarify that later on.
We're going to speak to a lawyer.
But they do want her to get out of the car, don't they?
I think they've made that pretty obvious, haven't they? I mean, and they want to confirm her documents. She says that her driving licence is in the back of the car. She's told me that she did give them her full name and details. So she said that she had given them those details. You don't obviously have to produce a driving licence at the side of the road. You can take it to a police station some days later, but the police were clearly sort of clear that they wanted to have a look. The woman who is speaking there, the driver of the car, or the owner, if you like, of the car, has told me that the police at this stage were circling the car, tapping their batons on the window. Now, we've obviously got no way of confirming this. Police aren't commenting on this in any detail other than to say that they're actually investigating this incident. She told me she was very frightened. She thought that if she did get out of the car, she might be hit by one of the batons. This is what happened next.
I told her my name already, and I've spelt it. It's in the boot.
In the boot? Could you get it for me, please?
No, the minute I get out of this car, you're not going to handle me well, and I don't want that.
One glass hammer. This is going to smash your window very quickly, and it's at your expense. Do you understand?
Why would you smash my window for?
Because you won't open the door.
Why
There's
do you
no
want me
need
to
to be
open the door
violent.
when you're holding all these buttons and things like that? And like I'm saying to you, I feel very threatened.
You're a woman with a child. Why
I'm
would
a
you
woman
break
with a child,
a window?
and you're threatening me.
Right, get out the car now. Get out the car now.
Oh, that way.
Get out the car as well.
Come on, let's get...
No, I'm coming out. Please
Right
don't
now.
do that.
Right
No,
now.
please.
Right now.
I'm just surprised.
Right now. Get out of the car now.
Oh my days! Oh my days! Guys, you don't have to do that! Please, go with
Look at the mess you've made.
Right, can you jump out the car and go and stand on the pavement?
I haven't done anything.
You didn't say you did. Your friend's an idiot, you know that, don't you? You could have been driving away right now.
Surely look at the mess you've made, officer, would be the correct... Anyway, that was the back window that was smashed, wasn't it? What happened after that?
Well, the woman who was talking in that clip says that she was taken from the car and then put in handcuffs, and all the women were told to get out of the car. Now, it does get quite muffled at this point, the recording, but we are pretty certain we can hear someone being read their rights. I can definitely hear the words, "It may harm your defence if you fail to mention something you later rely on in court." So that's standard reading your rights. That's an arrest. Now, we've not been able to confirm that there's been an arrest. It would certainly suggest that there has been. We've been told by the women that they were then separated, driven back to the hotel by the police. One officer drove the family vehicle and the others went in separate police vans and were then told, they say, to have a nice evening and were let go. And there have been no sort of subsequent follow-ups, it would seem, according to the women, at least anyway. We can, I'm afraid, only say that we've only got one side of the story here, but the women went then to get their window repaired and went on their way. They actually made a complaint to Hertfordshire Police at 4:30 that morning on Thursday, some hours after the event.
And we have only got the side of the women at the moment. We have invited the police onto the show, haven't we? What's the response?
Yeah, we've asked Hertfordshire to come onto the programme. They've declined. They've given us a statement. It says, Hertfordshire Constabulary's Professional Standards Department is currently investigating a complaint from members of the public following an incident on the A10 in Cheshunt at 4:30 on Thursday, October the 10th. Well, we know it was earlier than that. It was around 1 in the morning. As this incident is currently being investigated, it would be inappropriate for us to comment any further at this time. I have asked, as I say, to sort of subsequently find out if there was an arrest there, if there were any other details we could confirm in any way, and they've been unable to do so. They do have 10 days to respond to this complaint and decide whether or not it needs to be referred to the Independent Police Complaints Commission. And it's worth stressing again, as a result of that, we only have really one side of that story.
Paul Scoynes, thank you very much indeed. That's Paul Scoynes, our political reporter. Very simple question, I suppose, on the back of that. Were the police a little bit heavy-handed, or should the women have got out of the car? You're in a car with some friends and a baby, and the police ask you to get out. Should you get out of the car? 08459 455 555. Paul, thank you very much indeed. You can give us a call on that, but you can also go to Facebook as well if you want, facebook.com/BBC3CR. Or if you're in the mood, why don't you send me a text? 81333, start your text 3CR. Should the women have got out of the car? I'm Iain Lee, this is BBC Three Counties Radio. It's coming up to 6:15. Let's get the travel news.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Cheers, Ian. Good morning. Things looking pretty good so far today. No accidents reported on any of the main routes through the three counties. Right now I'm looking at the M1 on the cameras, and things are moving quite well as you make your way from Milton Keynes down past Luton and toward London. Northbound side looking all right as well. Taking a look at the roadworks situation, and of course you could get slowed down through High Wycombe because they're still doing works on the A40. Temporary lights for roadworks near Mill End Road, and they're doing those works just at the south of Milton Keynes on the A5, the Fenny Stratford bypass. One lane's closed off for junction improvements. It's as you come up to the McDonald's roundabout at the A4146 and Watling Street, but for the minute traffic is actually moving well past there. Of course, M25 roadworks, they're not causing any hold-ups yet, but it will get busy as the morning goes on. On the trains, no major problems reported, and on the tubes, all looking good as well. Adam Glynn, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Adam, is it your last day today?
It's Friday, or technically Sunday.
OK, thank you very much. Sorry about that. 6:16. It's Tuesday the 15th of October. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. Detectives investigating the disappearance of Madeleine McCann 6 years ago say they've received hundreds of phone calls since e-fit images of a possible suspect were shown last night on Crime Watch. 3 women who were stopped in their car by Hertfordshire police late at night and had their windows smashed in by officers have made a formal complaint. The weather for Beds, Herts and Bucks, cloudy this morning. There may be some light rain. It'll become brighter later with highs of 13 degrees Celsius. That's 55 in old money. Coming up, free car parking is being offered in Hemel Hempstead Old Town. It's to try and encourage shoppers while roadworks are taking place to create a one-way system. We'll have more on that in a bit.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's been another amazing year for British sporting talent.
And Andy Murray, 6'4", 7'5", 6'4", has only gone and done it.
But who are our unsung sporting heroes? Every year, the BBC recognises people across the UK who aren't stars but simply go that extra mile. They inspire people to take part in sport in all our local communities, and for no reward.
Chris Froome is the champion of this 100th Tour de France. It's a second British victory inside 12 months.
Let us know your sporting unsung hero now. Go to bbc.co.uk/unsung hero to download a nomination form. Closing date is Wednesday, October the 16th. They all deserve our support.
Yeah.
I got my mind set on you. I got my mind set on you. I got my mind set on you. Got my mind set on you. But it's gonna take money. A whole lot of spending money. It's gonna take plenty of money to do it right, child. It's gonna take time. I got my mind set on you. 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 And this time I know it's real. The feeling that I feel. I know if I put my mind to it, I know that I really can do it. I got my mind set.
compiled a list the other day of the 4 rock and pop stars I miss who are no longer with us. George Harrison was in there. David Jones and the Monkees, of course, a given. Arthur Lee from Obscure Band Love, and also Carl Wilson from the Beach Boys. I miss those. Justin Daly, which rock stars do you miss?
Probably John Lennon, I'd say.
Oh, yeah. Wouldn't the world be a nicer place if John Lennon was still around?
A much, much better place, 100%.
You can give us a text on that if you want, 81333. Start your text 3CR. Which rock stars do you miss? Now, thousands of free car parking vouchers are being offered to shoppers in Hemel Hempstead's Old Town in a bid to minimise the disruption caused by overrunning roadworks there. Traders have welcomed the move, but still fear work on the new one-way system could put them out of business if they last much longer. A decision will be made on how the contractors proceed on Friday. Well, our reporter Justin Dealey has been following the story. We had a meeting last week, a meeting on Monday, and Friday the decision is coming, hopefully. The traders have been given 3 options by the council, haven't they? What are they?
They have, and just to remind our listeners, all this work, all this disruption for a better traffic flow and also extra car parking spaces on the high street. 3 extra parking spaces.
Extra parking spaces.
Absolutely. So this meeting yesterday between traders and the council. After that meeting, I spoke to Sanjay Patel, Group Manager for Highways at Herts County Council, and he explained those 3 options moving forward.
First option is we finish off the area that we've got already open by finishing off with the new materials, Yorkstone and granite paving, and coming back after the new year to finish the rest of the high street off. The second option is to finish off the whole of the project by the end of November in the high street, increasing the resources, doubling the resources, using weekend working and potentially night surfacing works to finish off the job. The third option is the option of just backfilling what we've already got open, not using the new materials, and then coming back in January, February to start up again and finish off the job in the new year.
So those are the 3 options. When will you have a decision with what option you're going to be going with?
The majority of the traders that attended today preferred option 1, which was finishing off with the materials, the new materials, closing the existing areas up and coming back. Our preferred option was option 2. We're going to make a decision by the end of this week, but it looks like option 1 will be the preferred option.
What, by Friday?
By Friday, yeah.
So you think they're going to go for option 1? That would mean by mid-November, some of the work, and then you come back in January. Yep. The plans were meant to be done by the end of October, so you're going to be going way, way over on these plans. Yeah,
in option 1, we'd have to come back in January, February. We'd have to close the compound, make it safe, make it tidy, and then come back in January and restart the works.
So you want option 2 to essentially get you out of the mess that you created here?
Well, the mess has been created due to the tombs and unforeseen stats and things that we haven't managed to foresee in advance. So we've had difficulty on site. We've tried to mitigate that, and option 2 is putting additional resources using weekend closures instead of full road closures during the week.
Okay, so that decision by the end of the week. Jackson's are the contractors here. Are you happy with them? At the end of the day, you've got CCTV monitoring their progress.
Yeah, generally, yes. And we have had difficulties during the process, and we're ironing them out through our weekly meetings. So,
are you happier since those cameras have gone in?
I think we're both happier. So when complaints, or if further complaints come along, we can actually view the image and see whether they were carrying the works out correctly or not.
Are you embarrassed by the situation up here?
We are sorry for the situation. Yeah, it is a bit of a mess. We should have been finished by the end of this month. So yeah, we are sorry, and unfortunately, we are where we are at this stage, and we need to now add additional resources at our own cost to try and catch up.
Sanjay, you're in charge of this project. You've heard some of the stories. Yeah. Businesses here have been here for many, many years. They could lose their business. When you're sitting there, when you're hearing those stories, how does it make you feel?
Well, not very good, actually. We shouldn't have caused this disruption, and the hassle we have given the businesses. It wasn't intended, so I can only apologise to the businesses.
And contracts are contracts, but if you had the choice, would you rip up the contracts you've got with Jackson's?
I can't say that. The way the contract was written, it was to manage the project in the best way possible, and it was different from the previous highways project. So unfortunately, it hasn't actually developed in the way we envisaged on paper.
Have they made you look like a fool? I mean, you're standing here right now apologising to the traders, apologising to our listeners. You're having to do that. Have they made you look like a fool?
I don't think they have made me look like a fool. I know Jackson's also have been apologising to the trades and businesses.
Everyone's saying sorry, and you're in charge. Do you feel stupid standing here right now, having to say these things?
I don't feel stupid. I do feel that we shouldn't have been in this position in the first place. So at this point in time, we shouldn't have been here. We should have been finishing the site and leaving it a nice, tidy, historical townscape, something that Hemel could be proud of.
When that decision is made, and it will be made by traders, would you come back on to our programme? Would you come into the studio and talk to Iain Lee about the next stage? Would you do that for us?
Yes, I would, yeah. That's fine. I would come back and explain the next stages.
Fantastic. Thank you very much indeed.
And the thing we have to... Great interview, Justin. The thing we have to remember here is that people's livelihoods are at stake. People could lose their business that they've invested time and money into.
Absolutely. I heard yesterday about the bike shop up there, 54% down year on year. We've heard from the music shop. They spoke to you live last week, 40% down. And the reason being, people think that the Old Town High Street is shut. I mean, you heard from Mary yesterday, who, after hearing the programme last week, went for a walk up the Old Town, somebody who's local, and she was absolutely horrified. You heard Sanjay there saying it's a historic high street. It is. It's something that the people of Hemel should be proud of. At the moment, it's a building site, and people at the moment are just not going near it, which means the traders could be forced to close their doors forever.
And we have heard on this show that Christmas shopping for some people kind of starts now. Justin, have you started your Christmas shopping yet? Or are you a Christmas Eve kind of guy?
I start mine on Christmas Eve, yes, but obviously the Christmas trade is very important. That's why the traders want option 2, because some of the work will be carried out, finished at mid-November, and then carried on again next year, so it won't interrupt their Christmas trade. They feel like this year they need that Christmas trade. If they don't get that Christmas trade, there's every chance that they'll be forced to close.
Can you do me a favour, Justin? Can you try and find someone this morning who started their Christmas shopping?
Oh, I'm sure we can find them.
And
sure.
then ask them why. Can you do that?
Of course I will, no problem.
Justin, thank you very much indeed. Have you started your Christmas shopping? Some people have. Most times I have done the Christmas Eve thing. Christmas Eve in Oxford Street. Ouch! A couple of years ago, I was bang on it. I had everything by the end of November. I did it all online, didn't it? Had everything by the end of November. I've not managed to achieve that since. Have you started your Christmas shopping? Where are we? It's the 15th of October. That's a little bit keen, isn't it? To be doing it now? 08459 455 555. Can we find the person who has done the most Christmas shopping for this year's celebrations? I do love Christmas. Big fan of Christmas. Can't wait for that to come. This is BBC Three Counties Radio. Let's get the travel news now. Don't panic. It's not his last show, apparently. According to him, it's Adam Glynn.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Not yet, but you will be rid of me soon enough. How do you define too early to start Christmas shopping? I mean, I've bought like one thing, and I bought it maybe 3 months ago, but it was because I saw it and thought, oh, that'd be good, and wanted to get it before it sold out.
Well, that's too early.
But if it's one thing...
Well, you've started your Christmas shopping in July. That's not just too early, that's mental.
Fine, OK. Right, well, it's quiet so far this morning on the roads. No trouble yet on the motorways. M25 still clear going into the roadworks section. And we've got no issues on the A1M. Just looking at the cameras as you go past Hatfield, and all looking fine. Got no delays, really, through the roadworks sections out there at the minute. In Bearton, they're doing works on the A418. Temporary lights up for works as you go past Burcott Lane. And through Luton, they're doing some works on the A505. It's at the junction with Mount Grace Road, and that could well get busy later. Adam Glynn, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Adam, thank you very much. It's coming up to 6:30. I'll try and press the right button this time. Let's get the latest news and sport.
Across beds, hearts and bugs.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 6:30. I'm Barry Caffrey. Detectives investigating the disappearance of Madeleine McCann 6 years ago say they've received hundreds of phone calls since e-fit images of a possible suspect were shown last night on Crime Watch. It's now thought it may have been a planned abduction. 3 women who were stopped in their car and had the window smashed in by Hertfordshire police have made a formal complaint. A passenger recorded the incident and says officers used batons to break the window after one of the other women refused to get out to talk to them. Herts police say they've received a complaint which is being dealt with by their professional standards department. Police are continuing to question 4 men arrested in a counter-terrorism operation in London. Detectives have until this evening to charge or release them, or to apply for more time to detain them. Counsels against the proposed high-speed rail line through Buckinghamshire are at the Supreme Court later. 10 local authorities, including Chiltern District Council and Three Rivers District Council, say there are serious environmental grounds that mean the decision to proceed with the current project should be revoked by the government. And the weather for beds, hearts and bucks. It'll start off cloudy with a chance of some scattered showers. It will become drier and brighter later with some sunny intervals. Maximum temperatures of 14 degrees Celsius. That's 57 degrees Fahrenheit.
3 Counties Sports.
BBC 3 Counties Radio.
England captain Steven Gerrard says not reaching Euro 2008 still haunts him, but will spur many of his side on as they go into tonight's crucial World Cup qualifier against Poland at Wembley. England will reach the 2014 World Cup in Brazil with a win, but anything less would see Ukraine top Group H if they beat San Marino. Gerrard says the 3-2 defeat to Croatia 6 years ago shows how important it is for England to seize this moment.
I think the Croatia games is one of them memories that you're never ever going to be able to eject, and that's why it's so important that we seize this moment and we look back on this game with fond memories, because as you say, the Croatia night and the experience haunts you for a very, very long time.
Well, kick-off at Wembley is at 8 o'clock. The Luton athlete Deji Tobias says he's pleased to have been awarded some lottery funding. The sprinter won't get full funding like Milton Keynes long jumper Greg Rutherford, who has been included in the World Class Performance programme. Instead, Tobias is on the potential list and he says he's happy with what he'll receive.
You're on a certain level of funding and you get access to physiotherapy treatment, and they also help you towards competition and training costs as well. I'm eternally grateful for it, so I'd like to tell everyone to keep buying lottery tickets.
Tennis, and after a recent run of poor results in Asia, Laura Robson has parted company with her coach Miles McLaughlin. The British number 1 reached the 4th round of Wimbledon and the 3rd round of the US Open under McLaughlin, but a run of just 3 wins in her last 4 tournaments has seen Robson make the change just 4 months after taking McLaughlin on. BBC 3 Counties News and Sport. More at 7.
Call 08459 455 555.
BBC 3 Counties Radio.
Morning, Iain Lee, BBC 3 Counties Radio. Lots on the show this morning, including, if you missed it at 6 o'clock, we'll play some of the audio again at 7. 3 women and a baby. It's not a film starring Ted Danson. 3 women and a baby were in a car. They were ordered to get out by the police. They refused to. And they had the rear window of the car smashed. It's incredible audio. We'll play that again in 30 minutes or thereabouts. And also, have you started your Christmas shopping yet? Kath, have you started yours?
Yep.
Have you?
Yeah.
Why?
Spread the cost, innit?
But it's still going to cost the same.
Yeah, but I feel like I'm spending less.
But you're spending the same, probably more, because you've started earlier.
Yeah, and I'll forget what I've bought.
What have you bought?
I'm not telling you.
Why? Is it for me?
I'm helping Father Christmas.
Oh, I see, yes. He needs a lot of help this year. Unbelievable.
When will I see you again? When will we share precious moments? Will I have to wait forever?
question. I don't mean to sound insensitive. Are all of the 3 degrees dead?
I don't think so.
Then why?
You only ever see Sheila.
You don't ever see Sheila, don't you? Where are the other 3 degrees? Where are the 2 degrees?
I don't know. She might not ever see them
Again. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Indeed, Catherine Boyle, who's now you're the producer of this show.
I know. How did that happen?
Well, no one told me.
Right.
Well, so suddenly you're not doing. Suddenly you're in the producing once a week, and then now we've got Barry doing the news, and you're producing.
It's as much of a surprise stroke shock to me as it is to you.
Wowzers! The front pages of the newspapers, huh? The Daily Express. Apparently, a young Leonard Cohen kidnapped Madeleine McCann. That's what that EFIT looks like. Can I just say, for legal reasons, Leonard Cohen was not in any way involved in the kidnapping of Marilyn McCann. But that's what that EFIT looks like, a young Leonard Cohen with shaved head.
It's a face you'd remember.
It's a face you'd remember. Mum missed Snatcher by minutes. I didn't watch Crime Watch last night. I've gone off Crime Watch since Nick Ross got the boot. I used to love Crime Watch. It was my little... well, I used to find it quite exciting, let's be honest.
I worked on Crime Watch for a month.
Really? Doing what?
I was a researcher.
Oh.
When I was finishing my journalism qualification. But we used to get lots of letters about Nick Ross thinking he was Jack the Lad because he wasn't wearing a tie. That's what a lot of the letters are about.
Really? Not about solving crimes?
That's what they're answering the phones in the background. That's most of those phone calls. We also used to get phone calls from people saying that they recognise the actor in the reconstruction.
My friend played a coward in one of those reconstructions who allowed his girlfriend to be dragged off and let's just say interfered with. And he's in the back of the car going, no, please don't take me. You take her, don't take me.
And he auditioned for that.
He auditioned for that, yes.
Probably seen by me. I saw a few of the... It was a bit of a shame.
What have you got in the papers? Hang on a minute, there's a free £1 Ladbrokes bet with the Sun.
Oh. There's also a rather cheeky good luck charm in the Sun. Have you seen it?
Oh, this is... Are we allowed to say this,
I'm not sure we are.
Well,
I don't really want to take up their invitation.
Rub your lucky nuts. I'm rubbing my lucky nuts. No, they're Brazilian nuts, because I guess they're playing Brazil. No, they're playing Poland. Hang on. OK, we're nuts about football, not testicles, so join our cracking plan to help England beat Poland on their way to the World Cup in Brazil. Well, surely we should be rubbing our Polish sausage. Rub your sausage.
Don't encourage them. That'll be in tomorrow's...
Rub your sausage, leave your nuts alone, I say.
Speaking of pork, a rasher of bacon a day can harm a man's fertility, according to the Daily Mail.
Well, I'm a vegetarian.
Underneath the picture of a very pregnant Kate Winslet. See what they did there?
Yes.
They're casting aspersions on her choice of footwear. I think she can wear what she likes.
Well, no, hang on a minute. She's how pregnant is she? Very pregnant. Quite pregnant. Let's say 7 months for the sake of arguments and for the sake of making things up. She's 7 months pregnant. And she's wearing very, very high stiletto shoes. She's got swollen feet, as pregnant women get. Oh, that's horrible. And of course she shouldn't be wearing those shoes. I think that the what is it, the Mail?
Really? Who are you, Jeff Banks? Who are you to tell her what she can and can't wear? She's just going for a night out.
Just to make that reference a bit more relevant, it's like an old-fashioned gokwan. She should not be wearing shoes like that in her heavily pregnant state, because she could easily... You always see celebrities tumble on the red carpet. It was raining as well yesterday.
How many children has she had? This is her 4th. She's probably quite well practised.
She should pack it in. She should stop rubbing her sausage.
Anyway, let's talk about bacon.
Yes.
Men who eat just one rasher of bacon a day could be reducing their chances of becoming fathers. Who eats bacon every day? Really?
Fat people?
Maybe it's more about that than it is about the actual food stuff. Half a portion of processed meat, such as a rasher or small sausage, can significantly harm sperm quality, scientists believe.
Sperm quality?
Yeah. Those who want to boost the odds of having a child should eat fish instead. Kippers for breakfast. With species such as cod or halibut appearing to have a particularly dramatic effect on fertility.
The Apprentice star who sued Lord Sugar said she's broke on benefits, so why is she in Cannes buying trendy gear? Stella English. Remember her?
Yeah, I liked her.
I liked her until I saw that picture of her in a swimsuit.
No.
She sued the Apprentice man, what's his name, Sugar, Lord Sugar, King Sugar, and then he tried to sue her, and he said, I've only got £200 in the bank, you can't sue me, I can't feed my kids. Then she's in Cannes buying stuff in the Dior shop. She's bought something from...
No, it's Agent Provocateur.
Agent Provocateur. Provocative. She's bought something from there. That's the sexy pants, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pants.
There's an image. Go on,
I don't think they do nice big belly warmers.
Wow.
You do another one, because I'm really stretching here.
I know you are. I wish you'd stop. It's putting me off. Trying to rub my sausage and my nuts. It's food. Very quickly, 40% gas bill rise for OAP 87. It's the Queen. Ha 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 ha. Son, well done. You've run out of time, Kath.
Oh. Boris Johnson says something stupid?
No.
Too late.
Ta-ta.
The street is trying hard to learn their song. They serenade the weekend squire who just came out to mow his lawn. Another Pleasant Valley Sunday, charcoal burning everywhere, rows of houses that are all the same. She's proud today because the roses are in bloom. Mr. Green, he's so serene, he's got a TV in every room. Another Pleasant Valley Sunday, here in Status Symbol Land. Mothers complain about how hard life is, kids just don't understand. A creature of comfort goes, they only know my soul, and make it hard for me to see. My thoughts all seem to stray to places far away. I need a change of scenery.
Song, dear listener, that's a song and indeed a half, isn't it? It's just one song. A song and a half would be crazy. That would be A Day in the Life by the Beatles. 08459 455 555 is the telephone number if you want to give us a call. Lots up for grabs this morning. Have you started your Christmas shopping? Indeed, have you finished your Christmas shopping? No one could be that sad, could they, that by October the 15th they have finished their Christmas shopping. I say sad, maybe I'm just jealous of your practicalities. Nick says, oh no, Nick, bah humbug. I don't do Christmas. It's a rip-off, and the bills mount up and you spend the rest of the year paying them. No, Nick, you don't have to. You spend within your means. You buy a few small presents for those around you. You don't even have to buy presents. Don't make presents. They're always a bit rubbish. Don't make presents. And no one over the age of 8 should be making cards. But Christmas dinner? You don't do Christmas dinner, the finest meal in the year? And bus driver Jay, I don't believe this for 1 second. I've done all my Christmas shopping 3 weeks ago, so all finished, thanks. Really? 08459 455 555. I'm Iain Lee, it's BBC Three Counties Radio. Let's get the travel news now. It's Adam Glynn.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Some roadworks in Copel. This is on the A603, the Bedford Road, and they're doing works as you go past Balls Lane. They're going to be doing those works for another month or so. Through Whipsnade, the B4540 has temporary traffic lights up. They're around Studham Lane, and they're going to be there just until the 1st of November. As you make your way down the M25 this morning, anti-clockwise, it's definitely starting to build up from Waltham Abbey to Enfield, junction 26 to 25, and further round. A little bit of a delay starting to be flagged up on the speed sensors from the M1 to Kings Langley. It's on the move, but it is slow. As you make your way through Cheshunt, the A10 southbound is looking a little bit busy on the approach to the M25, but other approaches to London along the M1 and the A1M are still good for the minute, as is the M40 past High Wycombe and the A40 further into London. Trains and tubes continue to run without problems. Adam Glynn, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you very much, Adam. Little squeak at the end, we've all had it. We've all had a little voice break as we're talking on the radio. There's nothing to be embarrassed about, Adam, so please don't be. 6:47 or thereabouts, it's Tuesday the 15th of October. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. Scotland Yard detectives investigating the disappearance of Madeleine McCann say there was an overwhelming response to their appeal for help in last night's BBC Crime Watch broadcast. 3 women who were pulled over by Hertfordshire police and had their windows smashed in have made a formal complaint about the way they were treated. Coming up, we'll be talking more about Crime Watch, not Madeleine McCann, but Luton was featured on there last night. The victim of a shooting in Luton was on Crime Watch. We'll be talking about that. But before that, let's get the weather. Here's Kate Kinsella.
Beds, Herts and Bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Good morning. It's a rather grey start. There's a lot of cloud around. Also 1 or 2 mist and fog patches, but it's a much quieter day than yesterday. The temperature outside at the moment ranging somewhere between 7 and 9 Celsius, and it is set to get a little bit warmer. Despite the lack of sunshine today, we could get some brighter spells, some thinner areas of cloud. This should happen as we head through the course of the afternoon. The temperature getting up to a reasonable 14 Celsius. Overnight tonight, if we have 1 or 2 showers around this evening, they should die away, leaving it dry and for some of us clear. That's going to allow some mist and fog patches to develop, and that could mean things get quite chilly, particularly as we head further towards dawn tomorrow morning. The minimum temperature down to 5 Celsius, but the more sheltered areas could get a degree or 2 lower than that, which could mean a glimmer of grass frost, but it's fairly unlikely for most of us. It is a possibility though in the more sheltered and more prone areas. For tomorrow morning, quite misty to start and a big band of heavy persistent rain heading our way through the course of the morning. The middle part of the day rather wet and rather windy, but it will dry out as we get towards the evening. The maximum temperature tomorrow 15 Celsius, that's 59 degrees in Fahrenheit, and that's your forecast.
Thank you, Kate. 08459 455 555 is the phone number if you want to give me a call.
Every weekday morning from 9, the biggest local talking points.
There is only one professional force that can control chemical weapons. How can we, as a civilised country, stand by and let more poor innocent children get killed?
The JVS Show.
Harry's in Bedford. Let's see what Harry wants to say.
She knew what the laws were. She knew what she was doing. She got caught tough.
I disagree with the penalty. I think that for smuggling drugs, it shouldn't be a death penalty.
The JVS Show. Weekdays from 9. BBC Three Counties Radio.
This is no threat, but just an invitation. A sense of belonging, a sense of inspiration. Is heaven a place where nothing ever happens? Is it too much to ask to disbelieve in everything? Show me the wonder I have seen, the birthplace of the universe. Show me the wonder I have seen, miracles move in reverse. If you're exiled by all the cruel times,
Morning, this is Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. Now, the victim of a shooting in Luton was on TV last night as part of a Crime Watch appeal. 27-year-old Atif Ali was driving down Dunstable Road when he was hit from behind. He got out to inspect the damage and was shot in the leg. Initial police report suggested the suspect was a white man and someone Atif knew. Detectives then changed the description, saying the suspect was Asian and not known to the victim. Here's how witnesses reacted at the time.
Devastated, absolutely devastated, because I've got young kids, and it hits home when it's so close to home, and when you come out of your house and you see that, it just, I'm speechless. I don't know. I mean, I'm shaking right now. Honestly, I don't even know how I'm going to go to work.
You're very emotional. You're almost crying, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. Because this is unbelievable.
Are you now terrified about living in Luton?
Yeah, absolutely. I just told my husband I want to go. Move out. Go somewhere else. I don't know.
Well, Atif is now trying to rebuild his life after almost losing his leg. He spoke exclusively to BBC Three Counties Radio's Matt Lockwood when he came out of hospital.
So I got out of the car, went to the back to check whether I'd been hit, had a look at the bottom of my bumper. As I was just about to turn around to have a look at the guy who was in the car behind me, the guy had already got out of the car, and I heard another bang, loud bang, and as I lost my balance and I fell to the floor, looked down and saw my leg and it was kind of hanging off. Managed to drag myself onto the footpath and started to call for help. I did try and kind of turn around and see if I can remember the number plate as it drove off, but you know, in that situation you got so many things running through your head, it's a bit difficult.
Did you get a look at the man?
No, not properly. Like I said, you don't. You're on your way to work. You don't, and you know, even in a normal accident situation, you don't think, "Oh, I better get a good look at this guy." You know what I mean? I'm about to get shot in 30 seconds. It just doesn't cross your mind.
And this was during rush hour.
Yeah, I mean, there were cars ahead of me. There were cars behind that car. There were kids going to school, people going to work. It was 8 o'clock in the morning on a Monday morning.
So somebody would have seen it.
Yeah, they're bound to. I mean, there's bound to be people there that would have either seen the car trying to get away or the car hitting my car, and the impact of the cars. They're bound to have seen something. You know, it's rush hour. It's not possible that nobody saw anything at all.
Who called the ambulance?
I was very, very, very fortunate with the way things happened. One of the first people that turned up was actually a family friend. He didn't actually know it was me, he just saw somebody lying on the floor calling for help. So he pulled up, and as he approached, he realised it was me. He called an ambulance straight away. And then there was a lovely lady that turned up who just happened to be passing by and happened to be a first aider, and a gentleman as well who again knew exactly what he was doing, stopped my blood, and that more or less saved my life, because if he hadn't done that, I was losing blood at a rate that was really alarming.
Well, that was Atif speaking to not Matt, as we said, but Chetan Partak. 08459 455 555.
Tell me that you got everything you want, and your bird can sing, but you don't get me. You don't get me. You say you see 7 wonders, and your bird is green, but you don't see me. You don't see me. When your prized possessions start to weigh you down, look in my direction.
Martin in Limbury, this just doesn't work. On the site, he's texted in 81333, starting his text 3CR. On the subject of have you done your Christmas shopping, I've bought my wife's Christmas present. She found shoes she liked, so she ordered them, and I just have to give her the money. Job done. Well, Martin, no, you haven't bought her a Christmas present. You've bought her a present. You can't buy Christmas presents and then give them 2 or 3 months in advance. That's not how it works at all. Silly sausage.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
On the M1 southbound, there's a lane closed. This is a broken down vehicle as you go past the Luton Airport spur at junction 10. The hard shoulder's been blocked after a vehicle broke down, but because of course it's a live lane at the moment, make sure you approach with care. If you're heading down the M40 toward London, there's a lane blocked on the exit slip road to the M25 anti-clockwise. So as you go down that London-bound M40 and try and get onto the anti-clockwise M25, one lane blocked by an accident, so the slip road down to a single lane, and it's causing a bit of a build-up of traffic. In Hertford Heath, London Road, the B1197, it's been blocked northbound by a fallen tree at Vicarage Causeway. Police are aware and will be dealing with that. The A1M southbound starting to get heavy past Stevenage at junction 7. Into London, the A1 looking slow through Borehamwood from Stirling Corner to Apex Corner. And of course on the M25, delays starting to build Waltham Abbey to Enfield in the roadworks, and from the M1 to Kings Langley. Adam Glynn, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you very much, Adam. Coming up after the news, here's some incredible audio. 3 women and a baby in a car as the police smash their rear window to get them out. Heavy-handed.
Local and vocal across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 7 o'clock. I'm Barry Caffrey. The headlines: positive response to appeal for information on Madeleine McCann. Women pulled over by Hearts Police complain about how they were treated. And free parking being offered in Hemel.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Detectives investigating the disappearance of Madeleine McCann say there was an overwhelming response to their appeal for help in last night's BBC Crime Watch broadcast. Officers say there are strong indications that it was a planned abduction, and they want to trace a man spotted holding a child of similar appearance to Madeleine on the night she was last seen. Mark Thomas Williams is a criminologist and says there is a danger that hopes will be raised.
Let's be very mindful of the impact that it has on the family, because, of course, as soon as they have their expectations raised, they're looking for some kind of result in it. So they have to manage those expectations. And I think we have to be very cautious, particularly in the media, not to make too much hype over it.
3 women who were stopped in their car and had the windows smashed in by Hertfordshire police have made a formal complaint. It happened in the early hours of last Thursday morning on the A10 in Cheshunt. Paul Scoynes has more.
That's the sound of the car's side window being smashed. The driver says she'd already spoken to officers outside of the vehicle and admitted she thought she was insured to drive under her policy, but wasn't. A passenger recorded the incidents and said that the officers used batons to break the windows after one of the other women refused to get out to talk to them. Hearts Police say they've received a complaint, which is being dealt with by their Professional Standards Department.
Councils against the proposed high-speed rail line through Buckinghamshire are at the Supreme Court later. 10 local authorities, including Chiltern District Council and Three Rivers District Council, say there are serious environmental grounds with the project. They want the decision to proceed with HS2 revoked by the government. Free car parking vouchers are being offered to people in Hemel Hempstead's Old Town. Shopkeepers have welcomed the move, but still say the delayed roadworks could put them out of business. A decision will be made by Friday about how the contractors continue with the project. Leader of Dacorum Borough Council is Andrew Williams.
Anybody who gets a local paper will have an opportunity to cut the voucher out and use it, and I hope they make use of that, even if it's just for a walk through the high street, just to see what's on offer. Perhaps they don't regularly visit here, and the prospect of being able to park free, take a walk in the park, take a stroll through the high street, might just spark their imagination to do what is on offer.
Now, England captain Steven Gerrard says not reaching Euro 2008 still haunts him, but will spur many of his side on as they go into tonight's crucial World Cup qualifier against Poland at Wembley. England will reach the 2014 World Cup in Brazil with a win, but anything less would see Ukraine top Group H if they beat San Marino. Kick-off tonight at Wembley is at 8 o'clock. Now the weather for beds, hearts and bucks. It'll start off cloudy with a chance of some scattered showers. It will be drier and brighter later with some sunny intervals. Maximum temperatures of 14 degrees Celsius, 57 degrees Fahrenheit. And you can get the latest news and sport online at bbc.co.uk/3 counties.
Thank you very much. Morning, this is Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. 3 minutes past 7. It's the 15th of October. I'm learning that some of you have finished your Christmas shopping. Well, that's just insane, isn't it? I haven't even started. I'd like to get it done by the end of November. I'd like to get it done by the end of November every year. Only once have I achieved this. Lots of other things in the show this morning, including an investigation has been launched into claims officers pulled over 3 women in Hertfordshire and were overly heavy-handed. We have some audio of what happened. It's incredible. You won't want to miss it. A lifeline for traders in Hemel as the council offers thousands of car parking vouchers to shoppers. But will it be enough to save the old town's high street? And as I said, we're trying to find listeners who have finished their Christmas shop. I couldn't believe that people had even started their Christmas shopping. Some of you have finished already. Really? Really? That's a little bit weird, isn't it? Doesn't feel Christmassy at all to me yet. Facebook.com/BBC3CR. You can send me a text, 81333, start your text 3CR, and you can give me a call, 08459 455 555.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Now, I'm going to play some audio in a second that is incredible, and I suspect you'll want to give me a call after this. 3 women who were pulled over by Hertfordshire police have made a formal complaint about the way they were treated. Sonia Muneri was a passenger in a car with her 2 aunts and her 4-month-old cousin when they were stopped by police in the early hours of last Thursday on the A10 in Cheshunt. The family claim they have no idea why they were stopped, and when one of them refused to get out of the car, police smashed a side window and arrested her. Now, listen to this recording, and the simple question is, should they have got out of the car? Sonia recorded some of what happened. The woman you hear speaking is Sonia's aunt. Have a listen, then give me a call. Let me know your thoughts.
Anything. I want an explanation as to why I've been stopped. So it's because I'm driving a car and I'm black. You've told me that cars get stolen. If I'd been white, you'd never have stopped me. And that's a fact, whether you want to accept it or not.
How do we know you're black?
You saw me. I actually saw you getting to that roundabout.
Can we see you?
I saw you getting to that roundabout. And you did see me.
Open the door right now.
No, I am not going to. I'm feeling threatened by you.
I hope you do.
I want to talk to somebody else who's reasonable. Go away. No, I don't want to talk to these two.
Talk to me.
Can they go away, please?
No, they're not going anywhere.
No, they must stand far away. I do not wish to look at this. What is she bringing that button out for?
Because you're refusing to open the door.
Listen, I would like to speak to somebody else. These two have been very... I'm not happy with these two. And I'm a lawful citizen. I've not broken any laws. I am driving here. I told her my name already, and I've spelt it.
I'm going to smash your window very quickly, and it's at your expense. Do you understand?
Why would you smash my window for?
Because you won't open the door.
Why do you want me to open the door when you're holding all these buttons and things like that? And like I'm saying to you, I feel very threatened.
You're a woman with a child.
I'm a woman with a child, and you're threatening me.
Right, get out the car now. Get out the car now.
Oh, that way.
Get out the car as well.
Come on, let's get.
No, I'm coming out. Please
Right
don't
now.
do that.
Right
No.
Right now.
I'm just surprised.
Right now. Get out of the car now.
Oh my days! Oh my days! Guys, you don't have to do that!
Look at the mess you've made.
Right, can you jump out the car and go and stand on the pavement?
I haven't done anything.
I didn't say you did. Your friend's an idiot, you know that, don't you? You could have been driving away right now.
Well, simple question. Should they have got out of the car? Bearing in mind, remember there was a 4-month-old baby in that car. And that was an edited version of events. We have asked to speak to Herts Police, who tell us an investigation has been launched, so they are unable to comment at the time. Well, Sonia Muneri joins me now. Good morning, Sonia. Oh, Sonia, why do you think you were stopped?
To be honest, they first stopped us to ask us if we were lost.
Right.
And that was their first reason for stopping us. And from things then, we just don't understand why they stopped us. We actually did ask them if they stopped us because we were black.
Now, in the recording, we can hear them say that they didn't know you were black when they stopped you. Do you believe that?
No, I don't believe that. Because, I mean, after stopping us, they could have just let us go, but they didn't. So I don't think that they did, because they just carried on being arrogant and cruel to us, really.
So, Sonia, first of all, they asked you if you were lost. What happened then? How did the conversation progress?
Basically, they said, "Are you lost?" We said no. And then they moved on to insurance. And after sorting out the insurance issue...
because your sister who was driving, Plax, she was driving, but she didn't have insurance on that car, did she?
On that car, she didn't.
Okay.
She wasn't aware of that. But after realising that she wasn't, the police officer, gave her... I'm not sure what they did in the police car, but they sorted that issue out, and then she came back into the car.
So she got out of the car, got in the car with the police officer, they established that she didn't have insurance on the car, and then she got back in the car with you?
Yeah, back into the passenger side.
And then what happened?
And then they moved on to saying that we didn't indicate at the roundabout, and they said that we were travelling at 30 miles an hour at a 50-mile zone. And they then proceeded to...
They said you were travelling at 30 miles per hour in a 50 mile per hour zone, which, as far as I know, is not against the law.
Yeah, I'm thinking, should you not clap your hands or give us a reward for that, because we're within the law?
Yep.
But that wasn't the case. They then moved on to my other auntie, asking for her insurance and if she owned the car, because they said that cars of that nature tend to get stolen.
So what do you interpret from that comment?
For me, I'm thinking, is it a crime for black people to drive expensive cars? Because why wouldn't we be driving an expensive car?
Did you pick up from that comment the suggestion, or do you think he was implying that you had stolen the car?
Yeah, because they mentioned that those kind of cars get stolen, but that could have been verified by them, that if the car was stolen with their database.
Now, the woman we heard in the recording who is refusing to get out of the car, that's your other sister, isn't it?
Yeah, my auntie.
Your auntie. So she is insured to drive the car, as it's her husband's. Why didn't she want to get out of the car when she was asked to?
The way they were asking was in an aggressive manner, and by then they had their batons out.
Sonia, how many officers were there?
At the first incident, there were two officers, a male and a female.
Yep.
And they were on either side of the car tapping the windows with their batons.
Right.
So if somebody is telling you to get out of a car and they have a baton, whether it's a police officer or not, and you feel like you're in danger and your safety is compromised, you do hesitate in terms of coming out of the car.
Yeah.
And she did request to speak to somebody else, because obviously she wanted to resolve the issue, but they never allowed her that chance.
You say there were two officers there to start with. Did more officers arrive?
Yeah.
How many were at the end?
There were about 5 officers. There were 3 police vans, 3 police cars, a police van, and a police dog. I don't know why there was a police dog, to be honest, for 3 women and the baby. I'm still baffled about that.
Do you think that your aunt was right not to get out?
Yes, definitely.
Why?
As a woman, at 2 a.m., being vulnerable, and you've got 2 people threatening your safety, and you have a 4-month-old baby, your instinct is to protect your child, first of all, and then yourself. So I do believe that it was right for her not to come out.
They smashed the window.
Yeah.
They said they were going to smash the window, and they did. What happened then?
After that, they then proceeded to telling us that I got get out of the car, and my other auntie, who was then in the passenger side, was then dragged out of the car, and her chest was pushed so aggressively onto the car, and she was handcuffed.
And how old is she? How old is she, if you don't mind me asking, roughly?
I think she's in the 40s.
Okay.
I hope. Yeah.
I'm sure you've not done her a disservice, don't worry.
yeah.
You may have made her even younger. So she was pushed
Yeah.
against the car and was handcuffed.
Yeah. And they never read her rights. They never said that she was arrested. And
So she
was
was,
asking them-
as far as you're concerned, she was actually arrested.
Yeah.
Right.
Basically, if you're going to handcuff somebody, they are under arrest.
Right.
And she kept asking them why they're doing this, because her issue had already been resolved with the insurance thing. So I'm not sure why they went back to her. And then they allowed us to come out of the car with no, aggression and things like that. So I'm not sure why they went back to my other auntie.
What happened then?
Basically, then we were sat outside. The baby was wrapped in a blanket for more than 2 hours. And for us as adults, we were shivering, let alone the baby. And then they kept saying that they were going to call Child Protective Services. They were going to take to the station. One police officer actually pushed his vest against my auntie while she was holding the baby, accusing her and saying, "Do you have mental health issues? Are you taking your medication?" I'm like, that's just defamation of someone's character and false accusation.
Why were they threatening to call social services about your child? What were they implying?
I have no idea, because it was just threats with no grounds. Basically, they were just trying to just shoot different things, looking for different things just to accuse us of, because they're the ones that put that infant in danger. We actually found small particles of glass on her face.
Oh dear.
When we got back to the hotel.
And all the time this is going on, you're stood outside, and you
Yeah.
say it went on for 2 hours.
Yeah.
How were you feeling, Sonia?
I was in shock, because when the glass first smashed, it went into my face, and that was just shocking, traumatic for me, and I was literally like shaking. I called my father when that happened. This was early in the morning, and he was confused as to why it was happening. But then afterwards, I realized that this should not be happening, so I then proceeded to take all their details and the registration plates and the badge numbers, because things like this should not be going on from people that are supposed to be protecting you, and instead they're intimidating and endangering you. It's just unacceptable.
You were all escorted back to your hotel. What happened then? How did they leave?
Basically, it's out of nowhere. They're like, "We'll take you home." Well, I'm back to the hotel, and my auntie was allowed to sit in the passenger side of the police car. My other auntie was sat in the other police car, and I was sat in the car that they smashed, and the police officer drove that car, and they dropped us off, and they basically said, "Have a nice evening," and they just left us there.
They actually said, "Have a nice evening."
Yeah.
So you've complained to Herts Police. Why?
Because these things should not happen. They should not be allowed to happen to people, to members of the public, whatever ethnicity you are. Things like this shouldn't happen, and they shouldn't be allowed to get away with things like this at all.
Baby's okay? Baby wasn't scratched or injured or anything?
No, she's fine.
There you go, fantastic.
She's fine.
Sonia, I really appreciate your time, and thank you very much for getting in touch with this.
Thank you so much.
There you go, that's Sonia Maneri, who was in a car with two members of her family and a 4-month-old baby when the window was smashed by the police. Well, the police won't come on the show today, but Hertfordshire Police have sent us a statement saying Hertfordshire Constabulary's Professional Standards Department is currently investigating a complaint from members of the public following an incident. As this incident is currently being investigated, it will be inappropriate for us to comment. Herts Police have 10 days to respond to this complaint, and it's again worth stressing that as a result of that, we have only one side of this story. Well, what do you think? Simple question. Should Sonia and her family have got out of the car? I'm being told by Paul Scoynes, who's been looking into this story, we have some photographs of the event. Not quite sure what these photographs are, but we'll try and get them on the Facebook page as soon as we can. Right, 7:17, travel news. Here's Adam.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
B1197 in Hertford Heath, all clear now. The fallen tree's been removed. It was at the Vicarage Causeway. The M1, they've managed to get the broken down vehicle out of the way past junction 10 at Luton Airport. A1M Stowe Stevenage bound though, as you go past junction 7 and toward London. Then into London, it's slow through Boreham Wood, Stirling Corner to Apex Corner. M40 London bound delays. There's a lane closed on the exit, slip to the anti-clockwise M25. That's because of an accident. Congestion already back to Beaconsfield. The exit slip is down to a single lane. Adam Glynn, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Adam, thank you very much. .18, it's Tuesday the 15th of October. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. Officers investigating the disappearance of Madeleine McCann say they had an overwhelming response from the public to last night's reconstruction on the BBC's Crime Watch programme. 3 women who were stopped in their car by Hertfordshire police late at night and had their windows smashed in by officers have made a formal complaint against the force. The weather this morning, Beds, Herts and Bucks, cloudy. After a misty start for many, there may be some showers later. Highest temperature is 13 degrees. Coming up, free car parking being offered in Hemel Hempstead Old Town. It's to try and encourage shoppers while road works are taking place to create a one-way system. 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Who's a businesswoman and a broadcaster.
Isn't it annoying when you just miss the end of something?
Those are the headlines. There's a full bulletin at 4.
You have to turn the radio off. Or there's just so many interesting things, you don't have time to listen to them all.
There's a lady here. Hello, have you got the treasure for me? I have the treasure.
I lost him when I was 11 and he certainly made a great impression on me.
Then why not use BBC iPlayer Radio?
She developed a cocaine habit that cost her over £120 a day.
You can listen again to our programmes and even see what our presenters look like.
You look like Mr. Stamper from a James Bond film.
Head to bbc.co.uk/Three Counties and make BBC Three Counties Radio unmissable.
Now, we've got some comments from you on what you've just heard about the women in the car who had the police smash their window. Neil says, crazy women. Police ask you to get out. You get out. No blame to police at all. Race card. Really, Neil, you're 3 women and a baby in a car at 1 o'clock in the morning. I don't know. And we got an email that says, why was that woman in the car taping the event in the first place? Why was she so aggressive? Another example of no respect for the police. And then the passengers have the cheek to go on the radio. Rubbish. Well, those are some saying that. We've got a couple of... if I can just get the Facebook page to work. These computers, I think I may have mentioned once or twice. Slightly slow here at BBC Three Counties Radio. There is a comment with the opposite opinion. Let me see if I can find that. Yes. Gavin says, sack the police that smashed in the window of that woman's car. Disgusting treatment. Luckily, nowadays, we have gadgets to catch these officers who think they're above the law, and well done for recording the incident. If you want to have your say, should they have got out of the car? You're a woman, there's a baby in the car, it's 1 o'clock in the morning, there are several police with their batons drawn, speaking to you aggressively. Should you get out of your car? We'll be speaking to a lawyer later on to find out the legal requirements. 08459 455 555. Now, thousands of free car parking vouchers are being offered by Dacorum Borough Council in Hemel Hempstead's Old Town, while roadworks to implement a one-way system there continue. Shopkeepers have welcomed the move, but still say the delayed works could put them out of business if they last much longer. A decision will be made by Friday on how the contractors continue with the project. Joined by reporter Justin Dealey, who's been following this story very closely. Justin, how bad is the traffic?
Iain, absolutely dreadful.
Really?
I was there yesterday. I was at a complete standstill for 10 minutes, and this is when I spoke to Prince. He wasn't happy. Here's what happened.
I'm in the traffic at the same time, and I just come out of my car to find out what is happening. I mean, what's happening there is not on. They've been doing this thing for a long time. They haven't get it done.
So you've actually got out of your car. We've been here for 5 minutes. You've actually got out of your car to go up there and find out what's going on.
Yeah, that's right.
It's that bad.
It is very bad. If especially if families have got children to go to school, it is very bad. Very, very bad.
Well, Justin, it's people aren't happy by this at all, are they?
No, not at all. And you can understand their frustration. Of course, all this work, all this disruption to make the old town into a one-way system. They feel that would solve some of the traffic problems there, but also create extra car parking spaces, so people would literally park outside the shops, nip in, buy something, and then move on. Hopefully, that would increase business. But we're talking here, Ian, about 3 extra car parking spaces, so not many at all.
A decision isn't going to be made until Friday. What are the options that they've got?
Well, after yesterday's meeting between the council and the traders, I spoke to Sanjay Patel from Hearts Highways, and he explained the 3 options moving forward.
First option is we finish off the area that we've got already open by finishing off with the new materials, Yorkstone and granite paving, and coming back after the new year to finish the rest of the high street off. The second option is to finish off the whole of the project by the end of November in the high street, increasing the resources, doubling the resources, using weekend working and potentially night surfacing works to finish off the job. The third option is the option of just backfilling what we've already got open, not using the new materials, and then coming back in January, February to start up again and finish off the job in the new year.
Are you embarrassed by the situation up here?
We are sorry for the situation. Yeah, it is a bit of a mess. We should have been finished by the end of this month. So yeah, we are sorry, and unfortunately we are where we are at this stage, and we need to now add additional resources at our own cost to try and catch up.
Sanjay, you're in charge of this project. You've heard some of the stories. Yeah. Businesses here have been here for many, many years. They could lose their business. When you're sitting there, when you're hearing those stories, how does it make you feel?
Well, not very good, actually. We shouldn't have caused this disruption, and the hassle we have given the businesses. It wasn't intended, so I can only apologise to the business.
Listen, it's always nice to hear from someone from the council apologising.
Yep.
But it's a little bit late for apologies when, you know, we're hearing that some shops are down 40%, 55%. One shop's got 25 grand's worth of stock that they can't afford to pay for, and only by the good grace of their supplier are they able to keep hold of it. So an apology is great to hear. We don't get it very often. And it sounded sincere there from Sanjay, but it's not good enough, is it?
Well, you know, the traders yesterday were actually quite happy to a certain degree with the apology, because they had a meeting last week and they just felt like the councils, the people in charge, they just weren't listening, they didn't care. Well, yesterday they sat down and actually made a full, frank apology to the traders. They said, look, we're sorry, there have been problems, but we're doing our very best to try and put this right for you so you don't go out of business.
You've also been speaking to Terry Duris, friend of the show, Cabinet Member for Highways at Hearts County Council. What's he had to say?
Well, I asked Terry, Ian, what I thought was one simple question. Hertfordshire County Council are in charge of this project, and I put the question to Terry, did he feel like the council had let the traders down?
A yes-no question, is it?
It's a yes-no question.
Terry's, as I've discovered from experience, is not a fan of the yes-no question.
No. Here's what happened.
I think you're leading me into...
No, it's a simple question. Have you let the traders down?
No, Justin, I'm not going to do it.
It's just one simple question. Have you let the traders down?
Whenever you do a major road project like this, there are always going to be difficulties, and we have to work together with the traders and with the Cornwall Borough Council and with our contractors to minimise the difficulties going forward.
I mean, if you have unforeseen circumstances, OK, that could happen on any job. The question was, though, do you feel, with everything that's happened here, that you have let these people down? Are you going to go home today and are you going to have sleepless nights over what's happened here? Have you let them down? As a council, as somebody in charge of the project, have you let them down, Terry? Yes or no?
I think that sort of question and any answer to that is going to be subjective.
Just a yes or a no.
As a politician, you always have to counter every answer that you give.
But it's a yes or no answer. But it is, though, isn't it?
Maybe. Maybe not.
Just a yes or a no. Terry, I'm sorry, I need to get an answer. It's just a yes or a no. Have you let the traders down here?
Going forward, I think the traders will be the beneficiaries of what we are doing in the old high street, going forward.
Everyone says that. Everyone says, you know, come next year, this high street's going to be great. But as we stand here right now, have you let them down, yes or no?
That's a question I don't think I can answer. Sorry.
Thank you very much.
It is one of the great frustrations of when I took this job, kind of my first straight role, as it were. One of the frustrations of people's inability to answer a simple yes or no question. And he can either say, no, we haven't let them down, what we're doing is wonderful and will be better for them. We can say, yes, we made a few mistakes, we're sorry. That's all you...
You know, when I first saw Terry yesterday, I was accused of stitching him up last week with an interview. You know, we spoke to Terry last week, we asked him a few questions and he gave us answers. I think there was a great opportunity for Mr Doris to come out and say, look, we've had problems, we are very, very sorry, and we're doing everything we can to put things right. You know, for the time being, yes, we maybe have let you down slightly, but we're doing everything we can to put things right for you. That was his opportunity, but sadly, he didn't take that.
Justin, just be quiet for a second. It's gone. There was some really nice bird song while you were I was listening to what you were saying. No, I was listening, but there was some very nice bird song. It sounded very romantic where you are.
Oh, lovely. We're in Luton at the moment.
Well,
so,
exactly. I'm right then. Luton, of course, is a very romantic, nay, sexy place.
Yes, it is. And Lacey, you'll have some opinions on whether people have done their Christmas shopping or not. Some fascinating answers already, and you'll hear those before 9.
Justin, thank you very much indeed. 08459 455 555. Getting lots of calls and texts and emails on the subject of the 3 ladies and the 4-month-old baby who were in a car, stopped by the police 1 o'clock in the morning, asked to get out, batons were drawn, a window was smashed, the rear window. Should they have got out? 08459 455 555. I'm Iain Lee, this is BBC 3 Counties Radio. Let's get the travel news now. Here's Adam.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC 3 Counties Radio.
M40 London bound, there's still a lane closed on the exit slip to the anti-clockwise M25. It's an accident down there blocking off one lane, so only one lane open. It's very, very slow on the approach. Congestion already back to Beaconsfield at junction 2. On the M25 there are some delays as well. Unrelated to that problem, further back it's slow anti-clockwise going into the roadworks past Potter's Bar. Busy as you continue around from the M1 to the A41, junction 21 to 20 at Kings Langley, and then further from Chorleywood to the M40 looking busy as well. A1M still heavy past Stevenage at junction 7 on the speed sensors. Some delays on the A1 into London through Boreham Wood from Stirling Corner to Apex Corner. Looking at the speed sensors, it is still quite busy on the A10 through Cheshunt this morning. There seems to be a fair old queue coming down from Broxbourne through Cheshunt toward the M25 at junction 25. Trains and tubes, though, running without problems. Adam Glynn, BBC 3 Counties Radio.
Across beds, hearts and bugs.
This is BBC 3 Counties Radio.
It's 7:30. I'm Barry Caffery. The headlines: detectives investigating the disappearance of Madeleine McCann 6 years ago say they've received almost 500 phone calls and emails since EFIT images of a possible suspect were shown last night on Crime Watch. It's now thought it may have been a planned abduction. An investigation's been launched into 3 women's complaints about what they consider extreme heavy-handedness by Hertfordshire police. The women and a young baby were travelling along the A10 in Cheshunt in the early hours of last Thursday morning when they were pulled over and, following an exchange with 3 officers, had their window smashed. Herts police say they've received a complaint which is being dealt with by their Professional Standards Department. Councils against the proposed high-speed rail line through Buckinghamshire are at the Supreme Court later. 10 local authorities, including Chiltern District Council and Three Rivers District Council, say there are serious environmental grounds with the project. They want the decision to proceed with HS2 revoked by the government. And the weather for beds, hearts and bucks: it'll start off cloudy with a chance of some scattered showers. It will become drier and brighter later with some sunny intervals. Maximum temperatures of 14 degrees Celsius today. That's 57 degrees Fahrenheit.
3 Counties Sports.
BBC 3 Counties Radio.
England captain Steven Gerrard says not reaching Euro 2008 still haunts him, but will spur many of his side on as they go into tonight's crucial World Cup qualifier against Poland at Wembley. England will reach the 2014 World Cup in Brazil with a win, but anything less would see Ukraine top Group H if they beat San Marino. Gerrard says the 3-2 defeat to Croatia 6 years ago shows how important it is for England to seize the moment.
I think the Croatia games is one of them memories that you're never ever going to be able to eject, and that's why it's so important that we seize this moment and we look back on this game with fond memories, because as you say, the Croatia night and the experience haunts you for a very, very long time.
Well, kick-off at Wembley is at 8 o'clock this evening. The Luton athlete Deji Tobias says he's pleased to have been awarded some lottery funding. The sprinter won't get full funding like Milton Keynes long jumper Greg Rutherford, who has been included in the World Class Performance programme. Instead, Tobias is on the potential list and he says he's happy with what he'll receive.
You're on a certain level of funding and you get access to physiotherapy treatment, and they also help you towards competition and training costs as well. I'm eternally grateful for it, so I'd like to tell everyone to keep buying lottery tickets.
Tennis, and after a run of 3 wins in 4 tournaments, Laura Robson has parted company with her coach Miles McLaughlin after just 4 months. The British number 1 reached the 4th round of Wimbledon and the 3rd round of the US Open under McLaughlin. BBC Three Counties News and Sport. More at 8.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is Iain Lee.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
So, 3 women who happen to be black. Is that important? We don't know yet. In a car, there's a 4-month-old baby. They get stopped by the police at 1 o'clock in the morning. One of them, the driver gets taken out, goes and sits in the police car. They work out there's a problem with insurance. She's not insured to drive the car. She gets back in the car. The police then ask the driver of the car to get out. She refuses. Batons are drawn. Tempers are raised. And eventually, the window of the rear window of the car is smashed in. Should the women have got out of the car? Lots of you on Facebook having your say. Facebook.com/BBC3CR. Carrie Wright says, I'm listening to Sonia. Sonia was one of the women in the car. Spoke to her early on. I'm shocked, but I'm not surprised. I wouldn't feel comfortable at all getting out of the car if they were using their batons, tapping on the window. Surely Hearts police offer training in these areas. This disgusting behaviour needs to stop. It usually, not always, is a suspicion based on race. It shouldn't have taken so many officers. They should have been trained in dealing with this. A huge failure of Hearts police. Andrew says, another example of disgraceful malpractice and unprofessional conduct by the largest racist institution in the country that is the police. What excuse did they have to stop 3 innocent women and a baby and terrorise them? Now, we have to stress at this point, Hearts police have given us a statement. We don't have their side of the story, so we are only getting one side of the story. But, with that one side in mind, should the women have got out of the car? Joe's in Letchworth. Morning, Joe.
Hello, Ian. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine, thank you. What do you make about this?
To be honest, Ian, like you say, it may seem a bit heavy-handed, but like I say, the police aren't there to defend themselves. But to be honest, Ian, when a copper tells you to get out the car, there's an issue, so you get out the car. And it's simple as that, Ian. There was no excuse. And I think that the fact that she turned around and said, "Oh, you stopped me because I'm black," I just think, come on, really, that's a little bit lame to try and use that one.
Well, let's deal with that in a second. What I believe is sometimes called the race card.
Yes.
But it's different for us, Joe, because we're blokes, okay? And I've been asked to get out of cars by the police, and I've been asked to get out nicely, and I've been asked to get out in quite a thoroughly unpleasant way. Okay, yeah. But I've always got out, and yes sir, no sir, whatever you want, sir. How high, sir? But if you're a woman and there's a baby in the car, it's 1 o'clock in the morning, and the police are tapping the windows with the baton, that's very intimidating, is it? That's an aggressive... If this story is true, that's an aggressive stance from the police, isn't it?
It can be, but, I mean, let's look at the facts, right? The woman wasn't insured, okay, or had the wrong type of insurance.
Well, that was that. They dealt with that woman. This was the woman who had the insurance who was refusing to get out then.
Right, so... what you got to think, right? I'm not on anyone's side here, but in a logical world, okay, when a member of the police asks you to get out of the car and then you don't, for them they're going to say, well, what's she hiding? What is the reason? So to them, they're probably sitting there thinking, right, well, you know, she's got something to hide. So they're tapping on the window. Yeah, it probably does seem a bit intimidating, but that's a warning to say, look, get out the car, because if you don't, then we're going to have to use this type of force to get you out. And the fact that they've got a 4-month-old baby in the car means that the woman should have used logic herself and done what the cop has asked. They're not going to beat a black woman with a 4-month baby in the back of the car. But the fact that she didn't do what she was reasonably asked to do, is why they had to probably resort to.
Now, let's deal with this issue of the race card. I'm guessing you're white, are you, Joe?
I am, yeah.
I am white as well. I don't know. We hear these figures, don't we, that more black people are stopped in stop and searches, that sometimes the police perhaps use slightly more aggressive tactics with black people than they do with white people. We hear these stories. So I don't know, as a white middle-class person, how black people feel they are viewed, and indeed how they are viewed by some members of the police. I would suggest that things are a lot better in the police force than they were 20 years ago. But I would also imagine, and hopefully we've got some black listeners who can call up and let me know, I would also imagine that some members of the black community still feel as though they are treated differently, worse than white middle-class people.
You know, you may still get people like Iain, but like I say, you know, where I live and the type of friends I have, I've got a very multicultural friend, the black, white, Chinese, all colours of the rainbow, you know. And not one of them has ever turned around to me and said, "Oh yeah, I'm getting pulled over. I've been pulled over. I think the police, you know, don't like me because I'm black or I'm brown or I'm yellow or I'm white." Do you know? I mean, I've never had that from any of my friends, and I just think it's a bit silly to try and pull that card in this day and age, considering that the type of country, you know, the type of people that we've got living here.
Joe, we'll move on because I want to get some more voices on. Thank you very much. We've got an email here, or a text, I think. I am black. I'm absolutely fed up of black people using the race card. I've been stopped by the police twice in a period of 30 years. I was very polite in both cases, and they were polite to me. From what I heard... are these separate texts? It's all the same. From what I heard, there was no reason for these ladies to refuse to get out of the car when stopped by the police. Just more disregard for authority. In fact, I would say that they had planned to take their story to the press as soon as the police stopped them, because they started recording immediately. Well, they did. We haven't got the start. We haven't got the start. We haven't got the first woman getting out of the car and going and sitting in the police car. So I'm assuming, and lots of assumptions here, that doesn't exist. They started recording when it got a little bit more exciting. People should let the police get on with their jobs and they'd have fewer problems. Dennis in Luton, and you guys don't help by giving airtime to these people. Driving with no insurance, criminals. Don't give these people so much airtime. Paul's in Hemel. Good morning, Paul.
Good morning, Ian. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine, thank you. Should the woman have got out of the car?
I think... Yes, well, you've actually covered both of the points that I was going to bring up. First of all, we haven't got the beginning of the conversation, so we don't know what's happened at the beginning of it to lead up to where they were. But I think if anybody is pulled over by the police at 1 o'clock in the morning and asked to get out of the car and they refuse to, what are you hiding? That would be from the police's point of view, they'll probably think, right, what are you hiding then? Why are you not going to get out of the car? The chap asked her 6, 7, 8 times to get out of the vehicle. If you don't get out of the vehicle, I'm going to put your window through. No, I'm not getting out. No, I'm not getting out. Then the window went through. And as you said, when you got out of the car, you could be driving away now if you'd got out. And as the others have said, I think to pull the race card in this day and age is wrong.
One of the coppers from the recording, again, we've only got one side of the story. One of the coppers sounded very pleasant and very calming. One of the officers did sound a little bit excited and a bit threatening and a bit menacing. Does that make any difference?
As I said, you don't know what's happened on the first half of the phone call. You don't know what's been said. It probably would make a difference if the one who was calmer had gone in and taken over. They might well have got out of the car. But on the flip side, if the one that was calmer had gone over and taken over, it might have just escalated even further. They might just sat there and go, no, I'm definitely not getting out of the car now because you're not giving me any reason to.
Paul, thank you very much indeed. 08459 455 555. I have to stress that we only have one side of the story. Hearts Police have sent us a statement, but we don't know their side, so we shall wait for that with bated breath. Now, councils against the proposed high-speed rail line planned through Buckinghamshire will be arguing their case at the Supreme Court later today. 10 local authorities, including Chiltern District Council and Three Rivers District Council, say there are serious environmental grounds that mean the decision to proceed with the current HS2 project should be revoked and reconsidered by the government. Well, leader of Chiltern District Council, Councillor Nick Rose, joins me now. Morning, Nick. Explain what will happen today.
Good morning. This is the first of a 2-day hearing in the Supreme Court. What happened was that we brought a judicial review against HS2 and the DFT, And that was initially rejected, so we went to appeal, and then the appeal judgment was split. Two of the judges decided in one direction, and one judge decided the other way round, that there was a case to answer. And the case centres around the sustainable elements of the scheme, because it is our contention that they have not considered the sustainable issues anything like as much as they should have done.
What do you mean, the sustainable issues? What are the problems you have with it?
Well, one of the issues which is required under the law as it stands at present is you must consider the alternatives. Now, they haven't considered the alternatives, and to spend £50 billion in one glorious big vanity trip is just delinquent. They would do much better to spend the money in other ways to achieve what they're trying to do. We certainly need greater connectivity, both up and down and across England. And it's the across England which has been forgotten. It's the suburban services that need money spending on them, not one glorious shiny new train, say, going up and down the spine of England, because that's not actually going to help that many people. It will suck people into London. It's already having a devastating effect on a number of places in Birmingham where there were projects going ahead which would have employed many thousands of people, and they've been completely screwed up by this.
Speaking of money, Nick, how much public money has gone into your fight?
Well, something of the order of about 150, 200,000 overall. But I mean, not all of that has gone on court fees. A lot of it has gone on research and other things that we've had to do to take our position on this.
It's a lot of money, isn't it, to potentially throw away, because HS2 is going to happen, isn't it?
No, I don't believe it is. I think the whole thing is now so sufficiently toxic, no government is actually going to be stupid enough to run with it. It's quite clear that the Labour Party is already positioning themselves to dump it if they wish to, because they might be anxious to create a policy difference between the Conservatives and Labour. It's having a devastating effect on the electoral chances of the Conservatives, certainly in this area here, where it's just given enormous help to UKIP. Now, when the government actually comes to think of the next election, they are going to think, well, is this really a good idea? Because we are probably going to lose seats.
Some other local councils have pulled out, haven't they, of the fight? Why haven't you?
Well, they haven't exactly pulled out. What they're doing is they've switched their focus on to mitigation. I think you're thinking of Bucks County Council, probably. They are doing a tremendous amount of work on the mitigation issues. In other words, if it were to happen, how can we minimise the environmental damage? And indeed, we are party to that as well. But the issue really is that it had such a devastating effect on Chiltern and its residents. But taking Bucks as a whole, there are large areas of Bucks where it doesn't have any effect. So I think they took the view that they ought to concentrate on mitigation.
Nick, we have to end it there. We're out of time, but thank you very much for coming on this morning. That's the leader of Chiltern District Council, Councillor Nick Rose. It's 7:45. It's BBC Three Counties Radio. Let's get the travel now with Adam.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Just had a call from April. She's on the A6 and near to Wilstead there's been an accident. She says it's just before the two roundabouts, so I suspect this is just to the south of the A421. It's an accident with two cars involved. One's in the verge, the other is still on the road. Police are on the scene now and they're directing traffic and only letting it through in small bits to get past the scene of that accident. So I think they're allowing traffic to take it in turns to get past. If you can update us on that or anything else, of course, our number is 08459 455 555. Heading toward London, the M40 London bound has one lane closed off on the exit slip to the anti-clockwise M25. That's causing big queues. It's very slow from Beaconsfield down toward the M25 as a result of that. On the M25 itself, you've got stop-start traffic through the roadworks section anti-clockwise Waltham Abbey to Potters Bar, from the M1 to Kings Langley and from Chorleywood down to the M40. Delays on the A1M. This is slow as you go past Stevenage toward Welwyn and Welwyn Garden City, and it's also starting to slow up now on the A5 as you approach the M1 at Redbourne. Adam Glynn, BBC Three Counties Radio.
So is today your last day, Adam?
No, it's Sunday, Ian. Sunday.
We're not on Sunday, so...
No, but Helen Lee is in the mornings. And
right, but
West is in the afternoon.
OK, but I'm not on, so...
You're not on.
This is your last one with me, is it today?
Friday.
OK, well, it's been nice working with you.
Friday, Ian.
Thank you very much. Best of luck, whatever you choose to do. Cheers. There we go. I'm going to miss Alan Glynn. Right, 7:47. It's Tuesday the 15th of October. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. Detectives investigating the disappearance of Madeleine McCann 6 years ago say they've received almost 500 phone calls and emails since EFIT images of a possible suspect were shown last night on Crime Watch. It's now thought it may have been a planned abduction. 3 women who were pulled over by Hertfordshire police have made a formal complaint about the way they were treated. Coming up, we'll be hearing more of your thoughts on the way Hertfordshire police handled the 3 women when they refused to get out of their car. It's interesting. The texts and phone calls seem to be for the police. The Facebook comments seem to be for the women in the car. We'll go through some of those in a bit. But right now, let's get the weather with Kate Kinsella.
Beds, Herts and Bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Good morning. Well, it's rather a grey start to the day. 1 or 2 areas of mist and fog around as well, but that will lift, but it will stay predominantly cloudy. There'll be some brighter spells, though, where the cloud thins and maybe even breaks later on this afternoon. But it's a much quieter day, a drier picture, a brighter picture, and the temperature's not too bad either. We're looking at a maximum of around 14 Celsius. Overnight tonight, there's some clear spells developing. This means mist and fog patches likely to develop for a time, and also quite a chilly night as well. The minimum down to around 5 Celsius, but the more rural locations could actually get a degree or 2 lower than that. So there is a very slim chance in the sheltered spots there may be a touch of grass frost. So for Wednesday morning, quite a misty start for most of us. A dry start really first thing, but it's not going to stay dry, I'm afraid. Some very wet and windy weather on the way tomorrow. For the middle part of the day, a band of heavy and persistent rain blows through on a strengthening southerly breeze, but the air's coming from the Atlantic, which is slightly milder, so we're looking at a maximum of 15 Celsius. That's 59 degrees in Fahrenheit. And that's your forecast.
Thank you, Kate.
Every consumer problem has an unhappy customer.
They've actually deleted the main account instead of attaching my one to it.
We ordered it, and when we got home, we checked the measurements, and it just will not fit.
A company.
We've asked the council, but now they come up with a new excuse. It's not them, it's down to the highways.
And he said, well, I'm sorry, that's your policy. Oh, well, maybe next time you'll learn not to open the box.
And me getting to the bottom of it all.
And they confirmed that they would return my excess and that my no claims bonus would not be affected.
The JVS show fights for your rights and tackles your consumer problems. Weekdays from 9, BBC Three Counties Radio.
So, 3 women in a car with a 4-month-old baby. They happen to be black. We don't know if that's pertinent or not at the moment, but we're putting it out there because some people are suggesting it might be. 1 o'clock in the morning, the police pull them over, ask if they're lost. They take the person driving the car out of the car into the police vehicle. It turns out she isn't insured. She didn't know. She claims she didn't know. Still illegal, though. Doesn't the lack of knowledge doesn't make it any less an offence. She gets back in the car. The police then, according to the recording we've heard, which comes from the women involved, start asking the woman who owns the car, not the driver, the woman who owns the car, to step out of the car. She refuses to. Police start tapping the windows of the baton. So if they don't get out, they're going to smash the back window. They smash it. It's all a little bit exciting. Should the women have got out of the police car? Got out of their own car? Philip's in Aylesbury. Should the women have got out, Philip?
Yes, Ian.
Why?
You do as you're told by the police. You abide by the law. If they ask you to get out of the car, whether there's a baby in the car or whatever, the world's upside down at the moment. They could have been carrying anything in the car. And as you know, with drugs and things like that, people and the police have to search the car and see who the occupants are. My main problem with this is you do know whether you're insured or not when you're driving. If you don't, then there's something seriously wrong. If that lady was driving down the road and she's worried about her kid and she would have hit another car head on with children in the other car and she's not insured, what would happen then?
But the woman who owns the car, who wasn't the uninsured person, she does seem to say in the recording, look, if you just back off a bit, I'll get out. I'm not going to get out while those two are there with their batons out. You can understand that, can't you? She's intimidated by two police officers. She's a black woman. I'm assuming again, Philip, that you're white. We don't know, what the situation is between police officers and black people. We hear these stories. We hear this fear, which I'm a white middle-class bloke. I've never felt particularly threatened by the police.
Well, I was like your other caller. I'm, friends of mine are black, white, green, everything. I've never come across that, so I can't comment. But I hope to God that the police, are not like that. I mean,
I've heard stories. I haven't got any green friends. I'm not friends with the Hulk, for goodness sake. Not after what he did in my house last time. But I've heard stories from friends, black friends, who have been stopped more than I have. Andrew on Facebook says, my girlfriend is black. She gets stopped more frequently than my white friends, female and male. And on more than one occasion, the police have been hostile to her from the get-go. So it does happen.
It does happen, and it's not right, Ian. It's not right. But my main issue there is with the police pulled them over. They found that she wasn't insured to drive the car, and if you're told to get out the car, then you get out.
Philip, thank you very much indeed. 08459 455 555. Am I making too much of this? I think it is different for white middle-class blokes. I mean, I remember years and years ago, when I was about 18, I was driving a very expensive car, right? Don't ask why. It was Jimmy Nails. Don't ask why. I got stopped by the police because I was a young lad driving a really, really expensive car. Fair enough. But now I'm a 40-year-old bloke, 40-year-old white middle-class bloke. I don't get pulled over. Can't remember the last time I got pulled over. Years and years ago. And we do hear stories. I've heard stories from black friends who get pulled over more often. And I've been, a few times I've been pulled over, I've been treated very kindly by the police. Sorry to bother you, sir. Would you mind stepping out? I've also had an idiot copper who thought he was the bee's knees because he was wearing a uniform. There are different ones, aren't there? I don't know about this. 08459 455 555. Anne-Marie says, disgusting. That's all I have to say. And Gary says, the woman was right to stay in her car. They could talk to her through a part-open window. Just cops giving it the big, strong arm of the law. And I have to keep stressing, we've only got the women's side of the story. We don't have the police side of the story. Some texts. The ladies who were stopped the ladies who were stopped was trying to use the race card. They were trying to call the shots by refusing to cooperate with the police. It could have been handled a bit better. Martin in Limbury, I completely back the police. The police can stop you for any reason. They asked her to get out of the car. She refused. The police said they would smash the window. She still refused to get out, so they smashed the window. Why were they surprised and upset? Richard. Well done, Herts Police, dealing with really awkward people. What did they expect? People not getting out of the car could be hiding weapons. And Carol in Stevenage, I'm sorry, I don't agree with them staying in the car. If the police ask you to get out of the car, you should do just that. No argument, otherwise you're asking for trouble. She sounded completely hysterical and out of control to me. Well, isn't that the point? That she was hysterical and out of control. Hysterical may be a bit exaggerated. She was excited. Couldn't they have employed better techniques to remove her from the vehicle? To say they feel threatened, Carol continues, seems ridiculous. Our police force don't routinely beat up women, as far as I'm aware. 08459 455 555. And isn't it interesting that I don't know what conclusion you draw from this, but the phone calls and the texts are supporting the police, and the Facebook comments seem to be in support of the women. Errol says, Errol, I'm black, never been stopped. Why is a baby out at 1 o'clock anyway? They were driving home, Errol. You can't judge them for having a baby in the car at 1 o'clock. It's ridiculous. You can't judge them on their parenting for that. It's very... I don't get this. Diana says it's very easy to get a police uniform, not comfortable as a white woman. Don't know what that means. 08459 455 555 is the telephone number if you want to give me a call. We're getting a caller up whose name I don't know. You just type it quick. Let's just ask them. Hello, line one. Who's this? Oh, no, they're not there. They're not there yet. Well, we're sorting it out. It's Charles. Good morning, Charles.
Good morning.
Good morning, Charles. What do you think? Should they have got out of the car?
It depends on the situation. If the police are being very hostile, I would not be surprised if they refused. Not saying that they shouldn't have got out of the car, but it seems like a lot of your viewers, who seem to be white people, are not aware of how racist the police tend to be and aggressive in their mannerisms.
Charles, are you black?
I'm a black man, yeah.
Okay, have you had personal examples of the police being racist towards you or being overly aggressive because of your colour?
Yes, definitely.
What's happened?
It happens quite a lot.
What's happened?
Well, I've been in a situation, I work in security, and the police, we assist the police, and there's been situations where police see a whole group of black people, and they just get hostile and aggressive, and it's just a group of friends. Last situation I had, I was actually trying to assist the police, and I got arrested for it. You know? And it's sad that the situation is this way. I know people in the police force who will admit that the police force is racist, because why do you think they have a black police association? Do you get what I'm saying?
Well, why does having a black police association make them racist?
Because why would there be a black police association if they didn't have to safeguard themselves against the system itself? And a lot of the black officers I speak to do express the fact that police there's systematic racism going on in the force.
Even now in 2013, you're saying that still happens?
Of course it still happens.
And how does that make you feel, Charles?
It angers me, because how will I trust the police to protect my family? My last incident with the police, where I got abused and victimised, made me question how I can trust the police.
Charles, we have to end it there. I appreciate your call. Thank you very much indeed. 08459 455 555.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Just had a call from John, the M1 northbound from junction 12 toward 13. There's been an accident in the outside lane. It's all starting to back up as you approach that one. It is looking very, very slow on the speed sensors. We're hearing there could be as many as 6 cars in that outside lane at the minute. We had a call from Charlotte in the last sort of 5 minutes or so as well. So thank you, John, and thank you, Charlotte. We've also got these problems on the A6 near to Wilstead. April called us just before the 2 roundabouts, so I suspect this is after the A421 junction. There's been an accident. 1 car's in the verge, another still on the road, though possibly being moved out of the way now by the police, and police are letting traffic take it in turns to get past. M40 London bound as you make your way down to the M25. It's a lane closed on the exit slip road. This is because of an accident at junction 1A. The congestion is now pretty solid back to High Wycombe at junction 4, so very, very slow going. A404 in Chalfont, looking like there's a bridge being hit by a vehicle between Amersham Way and Loudhams Road. Adam Glynn, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you so much, Adam. It's been a pleasure working with you. Good luck in whatever you choose to do from now on. Right, coming up, we'll have more and hear more of that recording of the women in the car as the police smash their window.
Local and vocal across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 8 o'clock, I'm Barry Caffrey. The headlines: women pulled over by Hearts Police make complaint over how they were treated. Positive response to appeal for information on Madeleine McCann. And councils go to Supreme Court over High Speed 2.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
3 women who were pulled over by Hertfordshire police have made a formal complaint about the way they were treated. The family claim they have no idea why they were stopped, and when one of them refused to get out of the car, police smashed a side window and arrested her. Sonia Muneri was a passenger in a car. She told Iain Lee on BBC Three Counties Radio this morning that the way the officers asked them to leave was in an aggressive manner.
The way they were asking was in an aggressive manner, and by then they had their batons out. And they were on either side of the car tapping the windows with their buttons. So if somebody is telling you to get out of a car and they have a button, whether it's a police officer or not, and you feel like you're in danger.
Well, Hertfordshire police say they've received a complaint which is now being dealt with by their Professional Standards Department. Detectives investigating the disappearance of Madeleine McCann say they had an overwhelming response from the public to last night's reconstruction on the BBC's Crime Watch programme. Officers have released 2 e-fits of a man who was seen carrying a child matching Madeleine's description on the night she vanished from Praia da Luz. Detective Chief Inspector Andy Redwood is leading the investigation for the Metropolitan Police. He told Crime Watch that nearly 500 people had got in touch.
We've had a number of calls from people who were actually in the resort at the time, which just really confirms to me the value of what we're doing this evening. There are still members of our community out there who have got key bits of information that could help us to unlock this case.
Counsels against the proposed high-speed rail line through Buckinghamshire are at the Supreme Court later. 10 local authorities, including Chiltern District Council and Three Rivers District Council, say there are serious environmental grounds with the project. They want the decision to proceed with HS2 revoked by the government. Councillor Nick Rose is the leader of Chiltern District Council. He says the money should be better spent.
They would do much better to spend the money in other ways to achieve what they're trying to do. We certainly need greater connectivity, both up and down and across England. And it's the across England which has been forgotten.
A man who was arrested at Buckingham Palace yesterday is due in court later, charged with trespass and possessing a knife. David Belmar, who's 44, was stopped as he allegedly tried to enter one of the palace gates. Thousands of free car parking vouchers are being offered in Hemel Hempstead Old Town, while roadworks to implement a one-way system there continue. Shopkeepers have welcomed the move by Dacorum Borough Council, but some still say the delayed works could put them out of business if the disruption lasts much longer. A decision will be made by Friday about how the contractors continue with the project. Andrew Williams is the leader of the Borough Council.
Well, the idea is to issue vouchers to residents of the area to enable them to park in the High Street car park for 2 or 3 hours between now and the end of March 2014 for free, to encourage them to both come to the High Street to see what's on offer and to take a stroll through.
Now the weather for beds, hearts and bucks. Lots of cloud around this morning. The cloud will be thick enough to produce some light rain. Highs of 13 degrees Celsius, 55 Fahrenheit. Get the latest news and sport online at bbc.co.uk/3 counties.
Thank you very much, Barry. Morning, this is Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. Suddenly it's 3 minutes past 8. Where did the last 2 hours go? Thank you to everyone who's taken part so far. Still plenty of time and room for your phone calls. I'll give out the details in a bit. Here are some of the things we're talking about. An investigation has been launched into claims officers who pulled over 3 women in Hertfordshire were overly heavy-handed. Got some incredible audio that we'll play in a second. A lifeline for traders in Hemel as the council offers thousands of car parking vouchers to shoppers. But will it be enough to save the old town's high street? And I'm shocked to find that some of you have not only started your Christmas shopping, a few of you have even finished your Christmas shopping by October the 15th. That's not efficient, that's bonkers. Well, Justin Dealey is out and about asking today whether you have completed your Christmas shopping. We'll hear from him in a bit. If you want to have your say, facebook.com/BBC3CR. Send me a text, 81333. Start your text 3CR. Or you can give me a call, 08459 455 555.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Getting loads of calls about this. Ebony, we'll speak to you in a second. Let me just set up the story. An investigation has been launched into 3 women's complaints about what they consider to be extreme heavy-handedness by Hertfordshire police. The women and a young baby were travelling along the A10 in Cheshunt in the early hours of last Thursday morning when they were pulled over and, following an exchange with 3 officers, had their window smashed. We'll play the audio in a second. And we'll speak to a barrister who specialises in motoring offences as well to find out exactly what someone's rights are. But before that, Ebony is in Luton. Good morning, Ebony.
Morning.
Ebony, what's your take on the situation? Should the women have got out of the car?
Well, as you say, we haven't heard both sides of the story, and I think my concern is that listening to the sections that we have heard the recording, I would say that the women did feel quite rightly quite threatened. I'm intrigued by the fact that some of your callers, I mean, I'm a black woman, so I'm put that on the card, and I'm not actually going to play a race card saying that they were doing it because they were black. I have no idea what the situation was, but I'm intrigued in terms of some of your callers who seem to really be missing the point. The issue wasn't about, the issue didn't start with the one who is uninsured. Of course it's illegal to drive if you're uninsured. That wasn't where the problem started. The problem started when the police went to the woman who actually is the owner of the car, who was sitting in the driver's the passenger side of the car, and then they seem to proceed to be knocking her window. Now, as far as I'm concerned, if I've got two police officers there, and I've got a child in the car, there's three of us as women, I don't quite understand the aggressive nature that they actually had to take, and then they go and call a van load of other police officers from what we seem to have heard. To my mind, that did really seem to be over the top. The police are meant to have some kind of skills in being able to calm a situation down. I didn't hear any of their attempt to do that, and they seem to actually aggravate the situation even more. So from my point of view, I really don't think that it was handled particularly well. But as you say, we've not heard both sides of the story, but I do know, and I can, vouch for some of us in terms of, yes, we are stopped on a reasonably regular basis. Now, that doesn't mean that you're rude or that you act in any aggressive way towards the police, but it does mean that the police themselves have got to start handling the situation in a much more diplomatic way. And I didn't get any sense that they were doing it. They seem to, from my point of view, just be riding the situation even more and increasing the problem.
We're going to play the audio in a second. One of the police officers does seem very excited. One of them, in my opinion, seems to make a good stab at trying to calm things down, but failing. Ebony, have you been stopped by the police for no reason?
I've not been stopped by the police. I'll say that up front. I've been okay in terms of not having any dealings with them.
But if a police officer asks you,
I do know that.
If a police officer asks you to get out of the car, though, surely you just do it, don't you?
Well, I think the point is, how would they approach? If I'm going to have batons put out and you're going to be knocking on my window with batons, and it's 1 o'clock in the morning, and there's two of you, and there's three of us as women, I think I would think differently about that. If the police were to approach me and say, "Could you please step out of the car? We want to actually discuss A, B, and C," that is a very different stance. You already come with batons drawn, and you expect me to get out of the car. I think people who were making a point about police aren't aggressive, we know that they wouldn't cause any problems, are living in a fantasy world. People are individuals, and the way that you respond and act in situations are very different. And just because they've got a uniform on doesn't mean that they're going to be absolutely wonderful in their behaviour. So I think that is very much short-sighted and a very simplistic attitude that people are taking in terms of that would never happen. There's lots of things we say would never happen with the police, and we see it happening.
Ebony, we have to end it there. Thank you very much indeed. Ebony in Luton. Well, in a second we're going to speak to a barrister who specialises in motoring offences. But let me just play you a bit of this audio again. This is a woman and three women, a young baby, who were travelling along the A10 in Cheshunt in the early hours of last Thursday morning. They were pulled over, and what you hear is the exchange between them and the police officers.
I want an explanation as to why I've been stopped. It's because I'm driving a car and I'm black. You've told me that cars get stolen. If I'd been white, you'd never have stopped me. And that's a fact, whether you want to accept it or not.
How do we know you're black?
You saw me. I actually saw you getting to that roundabout.
I see you.
I saw you getting to that roundabout. And you did see me.
Open the door right now.
No, I am not going to. I'm feeling threatened by you.
I hope you do.
I want to talk to somebody else who's reasonable. Go away. I don't want to talk to these two.
Talk to me.
Can they go away, please?
No, they're not going anywhere.
No, they must stand far away. I do not wish to look at this. What is she bringing that baton out for?
Because you're refusing to open the door.
Listen, I would like to speak to somebody else. These two have been very. I'm not happy with these two, and I'm a lawful citizen. I've not broken any laws. I am driving here. I told her my name already, and I've spelt it.
She's going to smash your window very quickly, and it's at your expense. Do you understand?
Why would you smash my window for?
Because you won't open the door.
Why do you want me to open the door when you're holding all these buttons and things like that? And like I'm saying to you, I feel very threatened.
You're a woman with a child.
I'm a woman with a child, and you're threatening me.
Right, get out of the car now. Get out of the car now.
Oh, that way.
Get out of the car as well.
Come on, let's get.
No, I'm coming out. Please don't do that.
Right now.
I'm just surprised.
Right now. Get out of the car now.
Oh my days! Oh my days! Guys, you don't have to do that.
Look at the mess you've made. Right, can you jump out the car and go and stand on the pavement?
I haven't done anything.
I didn't say you did. Your friend's an idiot, you know that, don't you?
you could have been driving away right now.
Well, that was an edited version of events. We have asked to speak to Herts Police, who tell us as an investigation has been launched, they are unable to comment at this time. And, of course, that recording was not made by the BBC, but it was made by the women in the car. Joined now by Ellis Serene, who's a barrister who specialises in motoring offensive. Good morning, Ellis.
Good morning, Iain.
When you're pulled over by the police and they ask you to get out of the car, do you legally have to get out?
Well, that depends. The starting point is that if you're driving, the police do have a power to stop your car. They don't have to suspect you of any offence to do so. And once they've stopped your car, then they have a right to ask you your name and address, and you have to give that to them. And if you don't, you commit an offence. And, of course, once you've committed an offence, then the police have power to arrest you. And once they have power to arrest you, they can use reasonable force to do so if it's necessary in the circumstances. So that's where we are, really.
But if I'm in my car and I've given my name and address, and then they ask me to get out, am I committing an offence if I refuse to get out?
It depends what they're trying to do.
Right.
If the police officer is lawfully trying to arrest you or has put you under arrest, then unless you, in essence, comply with what that officer wants you to do, then you are potentially obstructing a police officer in the execution of his duty. If the police officer has no power in law to require you to do what he's asking you to do, then you can refuse. Of course, it's a bit difficult if you're on the ground because even I don't carry all the relevant bits of law around with me, and if I was stopped, I'd have some difficulty thinking about exactly whether the police officer is within their powers or not.
Listen, you've heard a tiny bit of audio that we've heard that we've been playing all morning. From that audio, and bearing in mind, of course, it starts off halfway through the things we don't know what's gone on before. But what do you think? Were the police overly aggressive? Was the woman overly excited? Should she have just got out?
Well, you probably know, Iain, barristers aren't really allowed to comment on things that might end up in a court case. What I'll say is this. The police are only allowed to use such force as is reasonably necessary. And when something like this happens, if there's going to be a complaints procedure, if this is going to end up in front of a court at some point, that's what everyone's going to be thinking about. Was this necessary? And of course, if you're thinking about whether something's necessary, then you start looking at whether there was some other viable options to achieve the necessary result without using the force. And I'd say that would be a pretty central consideration in a case like this.
Ellis, I appreciate your time and your wisdom this morning. Ellis Serene, a barrister who specialises in motoring offences. In a statement, the police say Hertfordshire Constabulary's Professional Standards Department, it's a mouthful, is currently investigating a complaint from members of the public following an incident on the A10 in Cheshunt at 4:30am on Thursday, October the 10th. As this incident is currently being investigated, it will be inappropriate for us to comment any further at this time. Herts Police have, this isn't their statement, this is me now, Herts Police have 10 days to respond to this complaint, and again it's worth stressing as a result of that we have only one side of this story. A couple of Facebook comments. Another one saying, why were they driving a 4-month-old baby around at 1 o'clock in the morning? Sometimes you have to drive children to places. That happens. I've done that. You can't judge their parenting skills for that. Michael says, so we've heard a one-sided version of events and the radio station wants us to form our opinion. Bad journalism, yet again, from 3CR, and Iain has a go at the Daily Express for their standard of journalism most days. Well, yes, you kind of have a point there, but the question we're asking is, do you get out of the police car when you're told? Maybe I should be asking that. I have been asking, should those women have got out? Well, let's expand it slightly then, Michael, to accommodate you. When you're stopped by the police, do you get out of your car? And Andrew says, why did the police commit criminal damage? Still, they can do whatever they like. Cover up on Hillsborough, someone driving dead badgers around in Somerset with no licence, and was the police unmasked? I mean, Andrew seems to lose the point a little bit towards the end there, I'm not quite sure, but thank you very much for your comments. It's 8:16. I'm excited to find out who our new travel person, guy or girl, is going to be. Let's see.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Would you believe it? They haven't found anyone else yet, so they've actually had to lock me in and pull me back to do it again. I can't go yet, unfortunately. M40, London bound, it's still queuing this morning. You've got delays as you make your way from High Wycombe down toward London Junction. 4 to the M25 looking very busy because there's been an accident on the exit slip to the anti-clockwise M25. It was a car that struck the barrier. All traffic's only sneaking past that in lane 1, so a very slow going prospect. Slow on the A404 as a result of that, busy through High Wycombe. There are delays on the A355 as you make your way from Amersham down to Beaconsfield, and on the A413 going down through the Chalfonts as well. M25 is very heavy anti-clockwise through the roadworks section and pretty busy from the M1 round to the M40. Problems in Chalfont, the A404 on the Station Road. Bridge has been struck by a vehicle. This is between Amersham Way and Loudhams Road. Looking at the M1 and northbound, there have been reports of an accident, multi-vehicle, between Flitwick and Bedford junctions 12 and 13. Possibly as many as 6 cars involved in this, blocking the outside lane, and there are delays as a result. We've had a few calls come in on that one. Also problems on the A6 in Wilstead. We had an accident through there earlier this morning. Still looking a little bit busy on the speed sensors as you drive through Wilstead. It is park blocked. Police still dealing with things. Queues both ways near the junction with Bedford Road. If you can update us, give us a call. 08459 455 555. Adam Glynn, BBC Three Counties Radio.
We got a girl doing the travel. That's great news. Fantastic. What a great replacement for Adam there. 8:17. It's Tuesday the 15th of October. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. An investigation has been launched into 3 women's complaint about what they consider to be extreme heavy-handedness by Hertfordshire Police. Scotland Yard detectives investigating the disappearance of Madeleine McCann say there was an overwhelming response to their appeal for help in last night's BBC Crime Watch broadcast. The weather today for beds, hearts and bucks, lots of cloud around this morning. The cloud will be thick enough to produce some light rain. Maximum temperature of 13 degrees. Coming up, free car parking is being offered in Hemel Hempstead Old Town. It's to try and encourage shoppers while roadworks are taking place to create a one-way system. And also, we've been sending Justin Dealey out to find out if you've started or indeed finished your Christmas shopping. There are some perverts out there that have done it already.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Every weekday from 12, Nick Coffer brings you...
30 years ago, Doug Moody set up the Greenbank Music School in Luton with a philosophy that music should be fun.
It was getting other people involved and just doing everything. I'm just a person that just loves to do things.
Nick Coffer.
EOS have decided that for their September show, they'll be performing their version of the Tony Award-winning musical Rent.
525,600 minutes.
Quirkology follows the clumsy, endearing life of Rupert Quirk.
A lot of people have actually said, you know, he's just an exaggerated version of himself.
Nick Coffer, weekdays from 12 on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Jonathan Vernon-Smith is here. Can I just say...
What?
You've got one extra button unbuttoned.
Well, I'll tell you why. This shirt is a little bit difficult, because it's either... If you have that one done, it's too high. Do you see what I mean?
It is. They do that with shirts, don't they?
It's, yes, it's
They don't get the button, so we're seeing a lot. Well, you're doing what I like to call a Justin Dealey. Although I can't see a nipple, so it's not a full Justin. It's only a half Justin. He does wear some ridiculous... I don't think he can hear me, can he? No. He wears some ridiculous things, doesn't he?
I've got a picture of Justin, actually, wearing what can only be described as a lady's blouse.
Is it the white thing with the kind of...
No, it's that... it's the blue one with the neck. Have you not seen the neck?
I've not seen that one, no.
Last time he was doing your show, I said, Justin, I'm so sorry, I'm going to have to just take a picture of you because no one would ever believe me that a man would wear that top.
The thing is, when you question Justin on his clothes, he says, yeah, all right, leave it out, big fella. I get a lot of good feedback on this. He gets feedback on his clothes.
Look, this...
And look what he's doing. He's pushing his arm under there so it looks like he's got biceps. Did he give you approval on this photo? Because he has to approve every photo that's taken of him. This is true.
I seem to remember I tweeted that before. I'll tweet it again today for everyone who's listening this morning.
And I'll retweet it, of course. Excellent stuff.
Gorgeous, isn't
Christmas shopping, have you done any?
Don't be ridiculous.
We're hearing from people who finished their Christmas shopping by the 15th of October.
Well, some people don't have very much to do in their lives. If you, well, no, it's true. I mean, if you've not got a lot to do, then you can do your Christmas shopping in September, October. You've got nothing else to do.
But then what do you do October, November?
Exactly. Start preparing for the birthdays in 2014.
What have you got coming up on your show this morning?
Well, very interested in this Hertfordshire police story you've been discussing. From 9 this morning, I want us to take this on. I'm going to be asking, does it sound as though Sonia's family were treated badly by the police? Fascinated by the conversation you've been having about Hertfordshire police. As we've been hearing, 3 women have made a formal complaint after having their car stopped and the windows smashed by Hertfordshire police. And the recording the women made, well, it certainly sounds pretty shocking, doesn't it? Particularly when they smashed the window. As I understand it, they were travelling along the A10 in Cheshunt in the early hours of the morning. Was it 2 o'clock, they said?
1 o'clock, I think it started, yes.
And there was a 4-month-old baby in the car. The car was doing 30 in a 50 zone, and for whatever reason, Hertfordshire police decided they were going to pull them over. Now, I'm very interested to hear in that recording that an accusation was made very clear and very early on that they were pulled over because they were black. Well, can that be the case? I mean, it would have been dark at the time. If the police see a car travelling very slowly early in the morning, are they right to suspect that something might be wrong? Then, once they're pulled over, were the family wrong to refuse to get out of the car? I want you to comment this morning from what you've heard, and I understand we are only commenting on that snapshot of what happened at the time, but does it sound to you from that snapshot as though Sonia's family were treated badly by Herts police? 08459 455 555 this morning from 9. It's the big phone in.
I was driving my boys around yesterday because they were getting on my nerves and I was trying to get them to fall asleep, and one of the tricks I do is I whack them in the back with a nice warm drink and not whack them in the back, whack them in the back of the car. Don't whack them around the back. Terrible.
My mother used to do that with my brother.
Yeah.
She should drive them off.
Yeah, we're driving off, and I was thinking 10 minutes, they're going to be fast asleep. So they're both very tired, very annoying yesterday. 45 minutes later, we're still driving around. But I ended up going down some roads, some country roads that were 50 miles an hour. I didn't know the roads. It was very dark. I was driving at 30.
Mm-hmm. And if the police had pulled you over and thought, what's this man doing?
Yes.
With 2 children in the back of the car, driving 30 miles an hour and 50...
It's not a crime.
No, but if
50 is the limit. It's not a target.
If they pulled you over and they said, excuse me, sir, can you get out the car? We want to have a chat with you. And you said, I'm not getting out of the car, I feel threatened. Would it be acceptable for you to refuse to do what the police say?
You've raised an interesting point. If I had the 2 boys in the back of the car, I don't think I would get out of the car.
What, for the police?
I wouldn't want to leave my 2 boys in the car on their own, even for a second, no. I don't think I would. I don't know, I'd have to give that some thought. My initial reaction is I would be very hesitant.
I've been pulled over by the police 4 times.
Yeah.
I was once pulled over. When I first started driving, I was driving through Harpenden High Street. And I was driving in it was a bit of an old banger.
Yes.
I was driving through it. All of a sudden, the blue flashing lights behind me.
Isn't it terrifying the first time that happens?
So I pulled over. I thought, oh my God, what's happening? The police guy goes, get out that car! Get out that car! So I leapt out the car. I thought, good grief, what have I done? I got out. I said, what have I done? I put my hands up. put my hands up. I said, what have I done? He said, oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were someone else. It's okay, carry on.
He thought you were Stamper from that James Bond film.
He thought I was apparently a young driver who did not have permission to drive a car. So he pulled me out like that. Did I complain? No, I didn't.
No.
Because I thought, well, I may well have been that young man who shouldn't have been driving the car. The police made a simple mistake. They were trying to do their job to keep us all safe. Was I going to make a complaint? No, I didn't.
And if they tasered you at the same time, would you have complained then, or...?
I didn't need tasering.
Well done, officer! Thank you!
I was very cooperative.
Yeah.
But if I had sat in my car and refused to get out, and they said, get out the car, then would the police have been within their rights to smash the window and drag me out the car?
Call 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's an interesting point. If I'd have been stopped last night, very dark country lane, doing 30 in a 50 as I was, with my 2 boys in the car, get out of the car, sir. I would have been reluctant with the boys in the car. I think that's my initial reaction. 08459 455 555. Stuart's in Bedford. Good morning, Stuart.
Hello, Ian.
Should these women have got out of the car?
Yes.
Tell me why.
Well, listening to the clip you played there, the woman who was being spoken to in the car, she was the one that brought up you've stopped us because we're black.
Yes, well, the police wouldn't necessarily bring that up, would they?
No, well, the police, she is saying that. So
Yes.
she's using that to
Right.
start with. She was then asked to get out.
What do you mean she's using that?
Well, because that's what a lot of the coloured people do. You stop me because I'm black.
But a lot of black people do think that they are stopped because they're black. We know that more black people are stopped than white people in percentage terms.
I don't dispute that, Ian. But this is the first thing she says. So let's leave that part of it alone. But she is using that as
Well, just to clarify,
as an excuse.
Just to clarify for legal reasons, it's not the first thing she says, but we only have half of the incident recorded.
The piece you played this morning when she was being asked to get out of the car.
Yeah.
Then when she was refusing to get out of the car and she was not going to be spoken to by the policeman because she just didn't stop talking.
She was scared.
Well, yeah, so she says she was, yeah.
Well, the police have got their batons out.
She'd locked the doors of the car and was refusing to get out. So the police were quite within their rights to break the window to get into the car to get them out. They'd refused to do as the police had asked them to do. He wanted to speak to her because she was the owner of the car, the insured person of that car.
Yeah.
And she was refusing to get out of the car. They'd locked themselves in. The police were quite within the rights to smash the window to get them out.
Couldn't they have employed a different technique? Couldn't they have got a woman to come and talk to them and try and coax them out?
There was one policeman there that was trying to speak to her reasonably to get out of the car, and she still refused.
Okay, so you're on the side of the police in this one, Stuart.
I don't side with the police because my son was stitched up by the police, and I've no love for the police, to tell you the honest truth, Ian.
Really?
In this case, I see what was to my mind. I can see what's happened. They refused to do as they've been asked to do, so the police were quite within the rights to smash the windows of the car to get them out.
Stuart, thank you very much indeed. I just want to squeeze in Dave in Luton before the news. Dave, what do you think about this?
Well, it's so totally baffling to me, but 1:30 in the morning, what are they doing with a little child of, 1 or 2?
Yeah, four-month-old baby.
Was the baby strapped in a car seat?
Yes.
Or was it sitting on that lady's lap?
It would have been strapped in a car seat, and they're perfectly within their rights to drive a child around at 1 o'clock in the morning. I've done it, Dave.
OK, fine, fair enough, but they've gone to a meeting, but I can't understand regarding the child. Couldn't they have left it at home or something?
I don't know where they were going. Maybe they were visiting relatives or friends. I have been out with my children. We've visited friends a long way away. We've driven back at night. The kids have fallen asleep in the back of the car. It's fine. 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, fine.
OK, but that lady that was kind of talking to the police, she's the owner and she's got the insurance. Why wasn't she driving the car and somebody else driving her car?
That we don't know, Dave. That we don't know.
Well, that's a big question.
It's a very big question.
But the police were in their rights. If she's locked that door, she's hiding something. And
If the police ask you to get out of the car, you think, Dave, that you should do it immediately?
You've got to. It's a law.
What if a presenter bans you from phoning in their show for a month? Should you obey that rule?
Oh, here we go.
Here we go, you're right. Banned.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
The A10 has been closed. This is following an accident between the A602 at the Stevenage turn and the A120 at the Puckeridge roundabout. The A10's completely shut following a collision there. Emergency services are still on the scene. That means a lot of people are probably going to be heading across to the A1M, which is already looking busy this morning southbound from Letchworth to Welwyn, junction 9 to 6. Into London, the A1 is also busy through Borehamwood, Stirling Corner to Mill Hill Circus. And further back up the A1, you've got the usual delays from St Neots to the Black Cat roundabout. The A6, very patchy this morning. We had an accident in Wilstead earlier. The accident, it looks like it is now gone. The road should be clear at the Bedford Road junction, but there are still delays both ways through Wilstead as a result. Problems on the M40, London bound. There are queues. Lane closed on the exit slip to the anti-clockwise M25 following an accident there. It's causing congestion all the way back to High Wycombe and the Handy Cross roundabout at junction 4. That's having a knock-on effect on the A404. Very, very patchy, with delays down at Bisham as well. Further down the A404 in Chalfont, the Chalfont Station Road. Bridge has been struck by a vehicle between Amersham Way and Loudhams Road, and that in fact is having a problem for Chiltern rail services running across that bridge. Delays are running with delays of up to 10 minutes Amersham to Marylebone. It's having reduced speed put in operation for safety reasons. Taking a look at the A404, and it's generally slow because of that. And of course, we've got problems on the M1. We had reports of a multi-vehicle accident. This is between Flitwick and Bedford junctions 12 and 13 on the northbound side. Possibly as many as 6 cars involved in that accident. Very busy morning. If you can update us, 08459 455 555. Adam Glynn, BBC Three Counties Radio.
I've got to say, you are so much better than that awful Adam Glynn we've had for the past few months. Fantastic. Looking forward to doing lots more travel work with you. 8:31, here comes the news and sports.
Across beds, hearts and bugs.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 8:30. I'm Barry Caffrey. The headlines: an investigation's been launched into 3 women's complaint about what they consider extreme heavy-handedness by Hertfordshire police. The family claim they've no idea why they were stopped, and when one of them refused to get out of the car, police smashed a side window and arrested her. Hertfordshire police say they have received a complaint, which is now being dealt with by their professional standards department. Detectives investigating the disappearance of Madeleine McCann say they've received almost 500 phone calls and emails in response to last night's Crime Watch broadcast. Officers say there are indications it was a planned abduction. Thousands of free car parking vouchers are being offered in Hemel Hempstead Old Town, while roadworks to implement a one-way system there continue. Shopkeepers have welcomed the move by Dacorum Borough Council, but some still say the delayed works could put them out of business if the disruption lasts much longer. The weather forecast for Beds, Hearts and Bucks: lots of cloud around this morning. The cloud will be thick enough to produce some light rain. Maximum temperatures of 13 degrees Celsius today. That's 55 degrees Fahrenheit.
Three Counties Sports.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Captain Stephen Gerrard's urged England's fans to recreate the atmosphere of Friday night's win over Montenegro as the team bids to reach the World Cup finals tonight. A Wembley win sends England to the World Cup. Anything else would in all likelihood mean a playoff. Former England striker Michael Owen doesn't expect Roy Hodgson to make too many changes from the 4-1 victory over Montenegro.
We can't be cautious because we've got to win the game, so there'll be one enforced change, obviously, at right back. So, you know, you'd maybe imagine someone like Phil Jones would come in there, but we looked so good the other day. People talk about maybe James Milner coming in for Welbeck, but I'd pretty much stick with the same thing. I thought we looked really good, looked like we were going to score every time we attacked and looked solid at the back.
Kick-off at Wembley tonight is at 8 o'clock. The Luton athlete Deji Tobias says he's pleased to have been awarded some lottery funding. The sprinter won't get full funding like Milton Keynes long jumper Greg Rutherford, who has been included in the World Class Performance programme. Instead, Tobias is on the potential list and he says he's happy with what he'll receive.
You're on a certain level of funding and you get access to physiotherapy treatment, and they also help you towards competition and training costs as well. I'm eternally grateful for it, so I'd like to tell everyone to keep buying lottery tickets.
Tennis: and after a run of 3 wins in 4 tournaments, Laura Robson has parted company with her coach Miles McLaughlin. After just 4 months, the British number 1 reached the 4th round of Wimbledon and the 3rd round of the US Open under McLaughlin. And that's BBC Three Counties News and Sport. Our next bulletin at 9.
Email
3cr@bbc.co.uk.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Well, it seems to have grabbed your attention. 3 women in a car, 1 o'clock in the morning, 30 miles per hour in a 50 mile an hour zone. There's a baby in there as well. Police pull them over. One of the women gets out, hasn't got insurance, gets back in the car. Another woman refuses to get out. Everyone gets a bit excited, a bit panicky. The police smash the window. When you're stopped in your car and the police ask you to get out, do you get out? Are there any circumstances when you wouldn't? Sharon's on the line. Morning, Sharon.
Hello.
Morning, Sharon. What's your take on this?
Well, I've been stopped on various occasions by the police.
Can you turn your radio off, Sharon?
Off.
Turn it off. Your radio off.
My radio off?
Yes, please.
Totally off.
Totally off so you can't hear a thing, otherwise it gets a bit confusing.
There.
There we go. Perfect. Lovely. Go on.
I can't. It comes through my radio.
So in that case, Sharon, those instructions may have been a little bit too complicated. I apologise. We'll move on. I asked you to turn it off. Anyway, but maybe we'll speak to Sharon a little bit later on. If you call in and you're in your car, always switch your radio off. It gets very confusing for you. There's a slight delay, there's feedback, what's the proper name for feedback? There's a proper name for it. It's invented by a Swedish guy. It's called is it the Larsen effect? think it's called the Larson effect. That's a much better name than feedback, isn't it? Anyway. Thousands of free car parking vouchers are being offered by Dacorum Borough Council in Hemel Hempstead's Old Town, while roadworks to implement a one-way system there continue. Shopkeepers have welcomed the move, but still say the delayed works could put them out of business if they last much longer. A decision will be made by Friday on how the contractors continue with the project. Joined now by my reporter, Justin Dealey, to explain more. Justin, remind us of the options here.
Well, 3 options on the table, Ian. Here's Sanjay Patel. He's from Hearts Highways, and he explains these 3 options.
First option is we finish off the area that we've got already open by finishing off with the new materials, Yorkstone and granite paving, and coming back after the new year to finish the rest of the high street off. The second option is to finish off the whole of the project by the end of November in the high street, increasing the resources, doubling the resources, using weekend working and potentially night surfacing works to finish off the job. The third option is the option of just backfilling what we've already got open, not using the new materials, and then coming back in January, February to start up again and finish off the job in the new year.
OK, so those are the options. You've also been speaking to Terry Duris, haven't you? He's the Cabinet Member for Highways at Hearts County Council. Friend of the show, what's he had to say?
Not a lot. Hearts County Council are in charge of the project. They've put up the CCTV cameras to keep an eye on the workforce. The work, of course, is late finishing. The traders are telling us that they're losing their passing trade. Some of them could unfortunately go out of business because of this. So I put the question to Terry whether he and the council have let these traders down, and here's how he responded.
I think that sort of question and any answer to that is going to be subjective.
Just a yes or a no.
As a politician, you always have to counter every answer that you give.
But it's a yes or no answer. But it is though, isn't it?
Maybe, maybe not.
Just a yes or a no. Terry, I'm sorry, I need to get an answer. It's just a yes or a no. Have you let the traders down here?
Going forward, I think the traders will be the beneficiaries of what we are doing in the old high street, going forward.
Everyone says that. Everyone says, you know, come next year, this high street's going to be great. But as we stand here right now, have you let them down, yes or no?
That's a question I don't think I can answer.
I love that line. But, Terry, it's a simple yes or no answer.
Exactly.
It may be. It may be not. Oh, wonderful fudging there. Good work, Terry. Now, finally, the contractors, Jackson Civil Engineering. We've heard lots of people pointing their finger at them. We've heard accusations of them being a little bit slack in terms of the amount of time they put into the work. We also heard, and I've not come across this before, and no one's been able to let me know this has happened elsewhere, that the council installed CCTV cameras on the works to keep an eye on the workers to make sure they were doing what they did. They were at the meeting. What did they have to say?
Well, of course, Jackson Civil Engineering have refused to come and talk to you live on your show, Ian. After the meeting yesterday between the council and the traders, I did approach Jackson's, and here's what happened. OK, can I just ask you, sir, what's your name? You're from Jackson's?
Yes.
You going to make any comment today? You going to make any comment from Jackson's? Guys, can we just have a quick chat? As the contractor in charge here, can I ask you why you're not talking to us today? Sanjay, you're with your contractor, you're paying these people. Can I ask you why they're not talking to me?
I think we've already apologised, and I've apologised on behalf of Jackson.
OK, well, can we not talk to the contractor? You're paying these people.
No, I mean, Jamie's the person who you've been dealing with it.
OK, can we get Jamie? Jamie's over there right now. Jamie, can I ask you how you found the meeting today? Jamie, can I ask you how you found the meeting?
Should we go? Yeah.
You refusing to talk to us? Jamie, can I ask you, are you refusing to talk to us today? So, you're a trader here?
I'm Restaurant 65, yes.
OK, can I ask you how it makes you feel that the contractor Jacksons are now walking away and refusing to talk to me?
Well, to be honest with you, it just goes to show you where they stand. You know, honesty is the best policy. They're either not being honest or they want to keep it to themselves as much as they can. It's as simple as that. You know, I'm suffering, we're all suffering. They're not suffering.
Have you tried to talk to the contractors yourself?
Of course, of course.
And how have you got them?
Well, you know, they're talking to me, they're being very polite, but they're not answering any questions, are they?
It does strike me as odd. This would be people are accusing Jackson's. We don't know. But it will be a great opportunity for them to come out and put their side of the story straight, wouldn't it?
Absolutely. You know, Hertfordshire County Council, Sanjay Patel, spoke to me yesterday from Hearts Highways. He said, look, a decision will be made by Friday. He's come out, he said sorry. You know, he's done the best he possibly could yesterday by agreeing to talk to me and saying that, not only to traders, but to the people of Hemel Hempstead, because they have let people down. He's agreed to come on your show on Friday and talk to you about which option they go with. Now, Jackson Civil Engineering, again, they will be listening to this right now. The offer is there for you to appear on Friday's programme. By refusing to talk to me and walking away, I would say that sends out the wrong message. But again, the opportunity is there for you to appear live on BBC Three Counties Radio and just come on and explain what's happened and what's going to be happening. It's as simple as that.
Justin, thank you. It is as simple as that. Jackson, if you're listening, you can give us a call now, 08459 455 555. You can email me, ian.lee@bbc.co.uk. We'll put in another call to Jackson's this week to see if invite them onto the show on Friday, see if they want to come. Back to the story about the 3 women and the baby in a car. Woman refused to leave the car. Police smashed the window. B in Bucks has texted him. I'm disgusted that such a one-sided version of what went on with the women and Herts Police has been given so much airtime this morning. I know that the police cannot comment yet due to the ongoing inquiry, but I'm very uncomfortable about the airing of that version of events. My opinion is nothing to do with race. I think all facts should be in first before condemnation of the guilty party. Well, we're not condemning them, B, and if that's the message that's come across, then I have not been doing my job properly. We're not condemning them. But I do think when there are issues that imply that the police have perhaps been heavy-handed, I do think they should be looked at. There is a danger that these things could be swept under the carpet. Now, if an investigation goes on and we hear the other side of the story, I'd be more than happy to air that side of the story on the radio. Of course we would. On this subject, Robert's in Watford. Morning, Robert.
Hello.
What do you think? Should they have got out of the car?
Well, unknown to what we don't know what the other side of the story is. I would have said most police officers I've experienced are okay. It's just that I experienced one experience where I was driving, I got pulled over. It was adverse weather conditions, and I got told off for driving too slow. Even though the area I was driving through from Harpenden to St Albans was a 60, as soon as I got into St Albans, which was a 30, they pulled me over and says that they accused me of drink driving, which I wasn't. And they asked me why I was driving at 45 mile an hour. And I said, because it was zero visibility, it was pitch black at 2 o'clock in the morning, and it was hard rain and a lot of surface water. I made a decision to drive safely at 45 at that time in the morning because I thought under safety. So the officer said, he gave me a warning and says, well, have more care for more drivers in the future. So with that, I made a complaint the following day, and I got his sergeant, he phoned me up, and he apologised and thanked me for what I did for driving as I would have done. And he says the young officer in charge at the time was a raw recruit, and he'll be talked to later on in the morning. And I got good feedback from that. That's the only experience I had. But I think if the officers at the time asked the young ladies to get out at that time in the morning, fair enough, they should have got out. Because there would have been no, but you get one or two officers that might have been. The other officer might have been a bit heavy-handed, I think, but I don't know the other side of that story.
That's it, Robert, we don't know the other side of that story. Incredible. Being told to speed up a bit. 45 in a 60 doesn't seem that slow. A few more texts. Nick says, if you're stopped by the police, just do as they ask. However, perhaps lady police officer could have got in the car that was stopped and gone to the police station so the women who they stopped could be checked in the safe and well-lit area. Evan Luton. Yes, they should have got out of the car, but they were heavy-handed. Didn't need to break glass. What if it had gone in the baby's eyes? That's the thing that's kind of sitting uncomfortably with me. There was a 4-month-old baby in that car. We know that glass... Well, we have been told by the women, one of the women in the car, Sonia, we spoke to earlier, that glass ended up on that baby's face. Could have gone in their eye. And Michael in St Neots says, from a white man in a white town, police are duty-bound to say why they've stopped you. They refused in this case, therefore they should have left those poor women alone. Again, we have to stress, the recording starts halfway through the incident, so we don't quite know what happened before. 8:45, I'm Iain Lee, this is BBC Three Counties Radio. Let's get the travel.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's a very busy morning out there. The M40 northbound has 2 lanes blocked, queuing traffic between High Wycombe and Stokenchurch. Apparently a collision involving 2 cars. Thank you to Keith who called us about that. London bound still queuing with delays down to the M25 from High Wycombe. So quite a long queue there from Junction 4 down to Junction 1A. There was an accident on the exit slip to the anti-clockwise M25. That's now being recovered, but it's causing big queues. A404 is busy as a result of this around High Wycombe, but there's also problems further down the 404 once you get in toward Chalfont. Bridge was hit by a vehicle between Amersham Way and Loudhams Road. That was the railway bridge, and that means that Chiltern railway services are being delayed by up to 10 minutes, Amersham to Marylebone, as they're having to run with a reduced speed for safety reasons. Taking a look at the A10, and it's closed. This is an accident between the A602 at Stevenage and the A120 at the Puckeridge roundabout. That means extra traffic on the A1M, which is very busy from Letchworth down to Welwyn. Welwyn Road, the B1000, has been blocked by a fallen tree from Windsor Drive at Hertford down toward Hearns Lane in Welwyn Garden City. If you're driving into London, the A1 is busy from Gorham Wood down through toward Mill Hill Circus. The M1 northbound, now we had an accident, that looks like it's now cleared between Flitwick and Bedford. M25 delays anti-clockwise, it's stop-start through the roadworks, heavy from Kings Langley to the M40, and also very, very slow clockwise through the works as well. On the trains, we've also got problems for London, Midland and Virgin. Delays because of safety checks being made on the line at Milton Keynes Central, and for Virgin, they've got a signalling problem up at Wolverhampton. 08459 455 555 is the number for your updates. Adam Glynn, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you! Well, it's 8:47 or thereabouts. It's Tuesday, the 15th of October. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. 3 women who were pulled over by Hertfordshire police and had their car windows smashed in with a baton have made a formal complaint about the way they were treated. Scotland Yard detectives investigating the disappearance of Madeleine McCann say there was an overwhelming response to their appeal for help in last night's BBC Crime Watch. Coming up, we'll get more reaction from you to the 3 women who refused to get out of the car when they were instructed by Herts Police. 08459 455 555. You can give us a call now. If you don't make it onto this show, I'm sure JVS, who's discussing the same thing, would welcome you with open arms. Before that, though, let's get the weather. Here's Kate Kinsella.
Beds, Herts and Bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Good morning. It's rather a grey start to the day. We will get some brightness through the course of the day. That cloud will thin. We may even get 1 or 2 sunny spells as we head through the afternoon as well. And the temperature's not too bad either, getting up to a maximum of around 13, maybe 14 Celsius. Now, overnight, we will get some clearer spells. That's going to allow the mist and fog to come back in, I'm afraid. And it's going to be quite a chilly night as well. The minimum down to 5 Celsius. That's 41 degrees in Fahrenheit. A misty, cloudy start tomorrow. Dry very first thing tomorrow, but it's not going to last. A band of very heavy and persistent rain is moving towards us from the south and the west through the course of the morning, and with it a strengthening southerly breeze as well. It's bringing with it air from the Atlantic, so it will be a little milder, the maximum of 15 Celsius, 59 degrees in Fahrenheit, and that air will stay with us for Thursday as well, and things could get up to around 17, especially if the sun comes out. And that's your forecast.
Roberto Perrone on BBC Three Counties Radio.
If you're at home, sit back, because this is going to be very, very interesting. You've got the selfie, the legsy, the bumsy.
You're going to start that trend.
Roberto Perrone.
We seem to be heading headlong into war again.
We're very keen to stop this from happening.
We don't know where this might lead. The lie that took us into the Iraq war could become a shocking truth in this one.
Roberto Perrone. Weekdays from 3 on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Right, let's take some more of your calls on the situation we've been reporting about. The women in the car, the police stop them. One of the women doesn't get out, and the police smash the window. That's a very brief summary, and I have to stress, we only have the women's side of this. If you want to hear the recording again, I suspect that Jonathan Vernon-Smith, who's carrying this on over after 9, will play at least parts of the recording. And it's also on our website and on the Facebook page, facebook.com/BBC3CR. Ian's in Bedford. Morning, Iain.
Morning, Iain. How are you?
Yeah, I'm okay, thank you. Should the woman have got out of the car?
I don't think she should have. No, I think that the police should have dealt with her speaking through the window, unless they had some definite suspicion that she was committing some offence. She's given her name and date of birth, they've checked her out, she hasn't obstructed them, and then all of a sudden they want to humiliate her by the roadside at 1 o'clock or whatever time it was in the morning. No, I think she was completely within her rights, and then I think by smashing the window with a baby in the back, they should be prosecuted for criminal damage. The police completely overreacted, and there are a lot of police like that act like little Hitlers. And,
but if a police...
And I hope that they have a book thrown at them.
Ian, if a police officer asks you to get out of your car, then don't you have to respect their authority and do as you're told? Otherwise, it can look suspicious, can't it?
If they do it in a lawful way, yes, but there was no need. This wasn't lawful. You weren't constrained to get out of your car. You've given them the details. They've checked out what they need to check. If they then say, well, we've got suspicions about you for whatever reason, then they need to give you that and then ask you to get out of the car. But they haven't. They've just said, get out of the car, you're refusing, get out, all will smash the window, tap them with their batons. Why on earth are their batons out with 3 women and a baby? Completely over the top.
Ian, are there any situations in which you would refuse to get out of the car if the police asked you to?
If I didn't think he was a police officer, which you're entitled to do, I think the advice is not to get out and drive to the nearest police station. But no, I think that, you know, if they try to humiliate you sometimes by getting you out in full view of all of the motorists, when many times you haven't done anything and there's no suspicion of other offences there.
Ian, we've got to just because I want to squeeze in some more calls, but thank you. I'm trying to think of if the only thing I could think of where I might question getting out of the car if a police officer spoke to me was if last night, not late at night, it was 7:30 at night. It was dark. I was in a country lane, and the boys are in the back of the car. Would I get out then if I was stopped? I would certainly question it. I would ask how necessary it was. Amrit's on the line. Morning, Amrit.
Morning there, Ian.
Yeah, fine, thank you. What's your take on this? Should they have got out of the car?
Well, my incident, when it happened to me, I did actually get out of the car. I always believe that you don't have to actually have the police officer come to your vehicle. You can always step out, go to the side of the road, and then speak to him at the side of the road. It just sort of makes a polite kind of way of dealing with a situation. But for me, it was just a horrific incident when about 4 years ago I was pulled over. 3 officers, they were undercover officers. It wasn't a police vehicle. It was an undercover vehicle. They pulled me over, and it was just such an experience. I mean, I was shouted by one of the officers. The other one pinned me onto the bonnet of his vehicle because I refused to give him my vehicle keys so that he could actually go and look in my car. He didn't give me a valid reason why he wanted to search my car. And I was just I was so shocked at the incident. Then they said, after the officer had actually pinned me down, his colleague had to remove him off of me, and I said to his colleague, is this how you treat people? And he was like, oh, look, sir, don't worry about it, go on your way, and we forgot about the whole incident. Anyway, I thought that I'm not going to let that go away. So that afternoon, I actually reported it to the police, and I went down to the local station and filed a complaint. Literally, what happens? A week later, I get a summons for turn up to my door saying that I had been driving inconsiderate driving. So I would have to go to court for that. And even though at the time they had said, no, we're not going to pursue any charges or anything like that, I did go through the Independent Police Commission, but nothing came of it. They said they use enough force as such. So...
and Amrit, I'm going to make some assumptions here. I'm assuming from your name that you are of Asian descent.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you suspect that the aggression was partly because of that, or do you think that's irrelevant in this instance?
I think they were just on some sort of power trip. And, you know, I don't think that had nothing to do with it, but I do think that the way they do handle certain situations, they don't need to do that sort of thing.
Amrit, I appreciate your call this morning. Thank you very much indeed. 08459 455 555. If you want to have your say on this, we've got a few minutes left on this show. Although JVS will be talking about this as well after 9 o'clock. I'm just trying to get up the Facebook page to see some of your comments. If I click on this, that should bring it up. There we go. Let's just pick a few at random. David says, I got stopped by the police some time ago. The first thing they said to me was, is this your car? I said, yes. Then they said, right, get out of the car. I'm going to seize the car. It's not insured. I told the officer it was insured. Then he started getting very aggressive. I said to him, just because it's not on the MID list, it doesn't mean it's not insured. I can understand why the 3 women never wanted to get out. Some police officers think they can do just what they like. Susan says, I think lost in all of this is the woman was uninsured and the police cannot take the risk of her driving away. Think of all those people who have died or have had some serious injuries because of uninsured drivers. Well, the uninsured driver had got out of the car, had got in the police car. The woman who refused to get out, I think, was in the driving seat, wasn't she? She sat in the driving seat. Yes, she was the owner. So, an insured person was sat in the driving seat, as far as we can tell. Let's read one more, then we'll speak to Andy. Lorna says, the recording is hard to listen to and quite upsetting. I'm a woman, and if police officers stopped me, I would stop somewhere bright and safe with other people, not in a deserted or dark area. There have been stories where people dress up as police officers and stop women at night. Perhaps the officers could have asked them to keep driving to a lit-up garage nearby where they would feel safer getting out of the car. It's advised if you don't feel safe getting out, you can drive to somewhere else and the police can follow. Andy's in Tring. Andy, you're probably the last call we're going to fit on this show about this. What do you think? Should the women have got out of the car?
Absolutely. I think Jonathan was right. He hit the nail on the head. He got stopped. Did exactly what the policeman asked him to do. And that's exactly what everybody should do.
This is Jonathan Vernon-Smith, who was in earlier on, for anybody who may have missed it. He panicked. He jumped out with his hands up. And it turns out it was a case of mistaken identity. But if it's late at night, if it's dark, you're in a dark place and the police have got their batons drawn...
Yeah, but there's 3 women, not just one. If it was one single lady on her own, like you said, you on your own with the kids in the car, fair play. There's 3 of them. What do they want? 3 women in the car. There's no reason why one at a time they couldn't have all got out of the car. 2 others staying with the babies. There's no reason for it.
So you think... Are there any circumstances, Andy, when you would refuse to get out of the car?
Well, maybe like you said, if it was just me or my wife on her own with the 2 boys in the car, then maybe, yeah, in a dark situation. But realistically, you've got to be reasonable with the police. You can't be shouting at them, getting aggressive, getting excited. You've got to have respect for these people, and that's the problem with this day and age. People don't have respect for the police. And you're not helping by erring on the side of the women. You're backing up the women. You can tell clearly that you're on the side of the women.
In what way am I backing up the women, Andy?
Well, you're told that guy that not to phone back for a month because he was backing up the police.
Andy.
How can we do that?
Andy, that's a running joke I have with Dave. Don't ignore that. That's a running joke. Every time he'll call up tomorrow and I'll ban him for a month. Don't worry, ignore that.
The other lady that was phoning from her car, you told her to turn the radio off. She was trying to explain to you that she can't turn the radio off.
Well, then we can't speak... Andy.
To you.
Andy.
But she's using the radio to talk to you.
No, she's not. She's using a telephone to talk to me. She can't...
Oh, yeah, but it comes through as a Bluetooth, doesn't it? It comes through the radio.
Well, then Andy, we can't talk to her then because there's a slight delay and it creates feedback. It doesn't work. She was getting confused.
Well, then why didn't you air that? Why didn't you make that?
I said that immediately after the phone call. I think you're looking for... Well done. Good effort. I think you're looking for conspiracy where there isn't conspiracy.
Mate, I think you need to get another job, bro.
OK, Andy, but yet you still listen and call in. I appreciate that, Andy. Thank you very much indeed. An unhappy customer, but yet he will continue to be a customer. Disappointed because I didn't agree with him and bowed out to him. Right, it's 8:58. Let's get the travel news now.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Still ridiculously busy out there. The M40 northbound, 2 lanes blocked by an accident between High Wycombe and Stokenchurch. 2 cars involved in that one, police dealing with it. Southbound still queuing from High Wycombe down toward the M25. The exit slip now is fully reopened. Police have left the scene, but the delays are going to take quite a while to clear. It's caused knock-on delays in the area, so High Wycombe's very slow, as is Beaconsfield and Amersham. The A414 and the 355 are likely to stay quite busy for most of the morning. 404's particularly heavy, and further down in Chalfont you've got delays because a bridge has been hit by a vehicle between Amersham Way and Loudhams Road. It's the rail bridge in Chiltern having to run with delays of 10 minutes possible Amersham to Marylebone as a result. A10 is closed from Stevenage through to the Puckeridge roundabout. Welling Road, B1000 is closed between Hertford and Welling Garden City. M25 roadwork delays. A1M very slow Letchworth to Welling. And then you've got London Midland delays, Northampton to Euston, safety checks at Milton Keynes, and Virgin delays because of a signalling problem at Wolverhampton. Adam Glynn, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Local and vocal across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you very much indeed, Iain. Good morning, welcome to the JVS show. I'm Jonathan Vernon-Smith. And coming up today...